to beautiful Anniston, Alabama, home of the world's largest office chair, home of Fort McClellan, and home of the Sonny King Criterium, part of the Alabama Cycling Classic, celebrating the Noble Street Festival here on Noble Street in beautiful downtown Anniston as we get ready to move to our final events of the evening after a full day of amateur racing community events. It's finally time to bring the pros out to the course as we get ready for the pro women, followed by the pro men out there tonight on what is turning into a beautiful night here in Alabama, as there was some weather in the forecast earlier, looking like there might be some rain coming down on Noble Street for the premier events tonight, but it has turned out perfect. Just a light breeze blowing across the street. Just a few clouds in the sky. We're floating right around 80 degrees out there right now, and it doesn't get much better than this. Perfect conditions for one of the best bike races in America. They call this the king of all crits for a reason. Brad Soner here, being joined by former winner 2017, Lauren Hall, who knows this course well, knows this city well, and knows the sport well. Lauren, welcome back to Anniston in a different capacity this year. We are so pumped to have you on the broadcast team in 2021.
Well, thanks, Brad. It's always good to be here. It feels a bit like a homecoming to me. I had a chance to visit with the VeloVit team, originally from Mississippi myself, and those guys are from Mississippi. And, you know, the South, we all kind of gather together, have some sweet tea, and just welcome in everybody and hopefully have a great race tonight.
Well, we have felt incredibly welcomed here in Anniston. The hospitality of this city has been incredible, welcoming cyclists from all over the country and all over the world for the Alabama Cycling Classic. We got into town just a few days ago and feels like we're locals already. I know you're already a celebrity here in Anniston, so no surprise, but nice to see that they're welcoming the riders and the rest of the crew out there as well. We are wrapping up a full day of amateur racing as you're seeing pro women warming up out on course right now. This is going to be an exciting one out there tonight, and again, should be super fast, perfect conditions. I want to talk about the racing earlier today and celebrate some of our amateur riders because they work just as hard as the pros out here, and we got to give them a little bit of credit today. We saw some really, really good finishes today.
Yeah, they're on the same course doing the same amount of work that any of the pros are doing, and what better way to learn what the pros are going to do by being out here and racing this exact course.
We had a little bit of a competition in the amateur series for the best post-up, and I think they got better as the day went on. The early riders were having a little bit of trouble. Uphill finish, it was windy, it was bumpy, tough conditions, but we eventually started to see some pro-level post-ups as we got a little bit later, and this was Jamie Carney winning his race earlier in the day. A little bit of celebration there, but Wasani Castro, I think, put on maybe the best post-up of the day out there.
No doubt, and we talked to some of these guys and talked about how rough this finish line is, so it's a bit hard to take your hands off the bars, but Wasani definitely didn't have a problem doing that, did he?
You can see the brick right before the finish line as well. There's basically right under the start-finish arch. This is the Castro sprint that we were talking about earlier, winning out of a breakaway. Saw a lot of successful breakaways out there today as well, so that might be an indicator of things to come later tonight because we saw multiple races won either solo off the front or a small group of somewhere between 3 to 5 riders had really good days out there today. So we'll see if that plays into this one. And then this 2-up sprint to the line was awesome to watch as well.
Yeah, McCabe had quite the race today, didn't he? 19 years old. Didn't do too much work, but yeah, it was really good to see him come through with a win like that.
Well, as the amateurs wrap up their events, let's move to start talking about the pro race tonight. Before we get to the riders in the race, I want to talk about the course here in Anniston because while it looks like a normal course on paper, 4 corners, semi-flat, I guess, for a part of it, it's this finish stretch that does it for me.
Yeah, no doubt. The coming out of corner 4, it's basically a drag race to the finish, and it has a bit of a dip right before the finish line, and that's what's kind of making it a bit rough. And then you go across the finish line, it's still uphill, left-hand turn, first corner, and it's a bit tight through there. It tightens up through corners 1 and 2, opens back up on the backside, downhill. You don't want to be a solo rider down there. Tight again into turn 3. Fast through turn 4, and there you are, right back to the start finish again.
The other thing we've been talking about on this course is the road conditions. It's smooth for part of it, but there are some crucial parts of this course that are pretty bumpy, and that's really affecting the racing.
Yeah, again, we were talking to the riders after the race, and they were talking about corner 3 leading up into it. There's a manhole cover, the pavement is a little bit messed up, so it just messes up how you set up your turn right before into turn 3. So we'll see if that's a factor for the pros.
Yeah, it's going to be certainly important. You can see some of the bumps in the pavement. We talked about slow pavement in a lot of these courses. I think this would qualify as slow pavement out there. It's not super smooth, and if you can avoid the bumps, you can find the line. In fact, you talked about sort of previewing some of the corners.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what a lot of these pro racers are going to do, and a lot of the amateur races did, is go out there, ride a lap of the course, kind of cover the entire course on these warm-up laps, look at the course, look at the concrete, look at the asphalt, how it connects, where it connects, and then just really check out all the lines and all the corners. Because we saw earlier, we saw one of the riders basically coming up on the yellow line, and he slips his back wheel a little bit. So, you know, that every little bit counts, every 1 little percent. So it's very important to know the lines of this course.
All right, let's talk about the type of rider that this will favor, because looking back at the winners of the last 5 years, there's really no clear favorite. There's some pure sprinters, there's some good breakaway riders, there's someone who's won Ghent-Wevelgem, so you got classics riders in there, and World Tour riders like Hannah Barnes. So it really kind of shows anyone can win here in Anniston. There is no specific type of rider that'll win here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like we were talking about some of the amateur races today, in a breakaway, solo, it's kind of an attrition course because it's so long and drawn out on the straightaways.
Summer Moak in 2019 had just one teammate in Erica Aller, now Erica Carney, for the rally cycling team. Lily Williams back in 2018. So, yeah, good mix of riders. Summer won out of a sprint, out of a small group. We've seen that a lot in these pro races. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out there tonight. Let's go back and talk about last year with Summer Moak's win. Well, I say last year, but I mean the last time we were here in Anniston. I've still not gotten used to this year off that we've had from bike racing. Back in 2019, the last time we were racing here in Anniston at the Sunny King Criterium. Summer Moak doing a great job with Rally, and really you don't need the numbers here in Anniston if you race smart, and Rally proved that last year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just as long as you're covering and you've got a teammate to help you out, you know, like we've seen all day today, just those breakaways and just these smaller groups, that's what it's come down to.
We also saw incredibly aggressive racing in this race in 2019. The Fast Chance cycling team in the purple jerseys here, and Hagens Berman doing incredible work on the front. But in the end, you see the 2 rally jerseys, the only 2 orange jerseys in the group, just sitting back, relaxing, didn't really have to do much. And then when it came time to get to the front, Summer Moak was there. Very smart bike racer.
Yeah, these bike racers that win races know how to get to the front when it counts. Obviously, that's why they win bike races. But it's something about being a sprinter and a finish line that you can smell the finish.
So a couple big moves from Fast Chance late in the race, but nothing able to get away. Moak just marked every single move perfectly. And then the other thing that we talk about a lot is the setup into the final turn, where you want to be going into the sprint, because a lot of riders will start too early on this uphill finish, and it's really just about timing it on the way to the line.
Yeah, we saw Wasani today basically take it out of the last corner, and that's such a long sprint, but he was able to hold it off. My preference is a little bit later, almost to the crosswalk, but you know, hey, when you commit, you're fully committed, so you might as well just go.
This break came at 8 laps to go last year before eventually being reeled back in, and then a few desperate late race attacks from riders that didn't want to sprint in this race as the sun started to set on our pro women's field. If you're not a sprinter and you're not an uphill sprinter, this is not the course to try to finish with the group. So we saw a lot of riders inside the last 10 or so laps taking their last-ditch efforts to try to get away.
And that's just what it is, the last-ditch effort. You know, by that point, everybody's going to mark everything, so it's a failed attempt.
Well, we saw CWA Racing presented by Trek trying to get up there along with some Hagens Berman riders, but the field just would not let them go. There was just too much interest in the field, too many good riders trying to go up the road, and so eventually it was this group of like 7 that was able to get away with pretty much every major team represented in there, so that let the field set up this field sprint where Summer Moak sprints right up the middle. She started sprinting about halfway up that climb, and then pretty long way out, I would say maybe 150 meters out from the line for Summer Moak, but she's got the legs to do it. Paid off in 2019 for rally cycling.
First one across wins, that's all that matters, even with a little bit of a bike throw.
And then, of course, the champagne celebration on the podium. I know we talked about the podium prizes for you. You still have your giant check from your win in 2017.
If somebody gives you a large, oversized check with your name on it, you keep it. It's definitely going on the wall. little motivation just to stay fit and then have those memories. I'm not getting rid of it.
Laura Jorgensen got up there for Fast Chance in 2019 for a second. Daniele Garcia for the CWA Racing, presented by Trek Squad. And then Lily Williams ending at 4th place, another former winner, along with Christina Goki-Smith inside the top 5. Emily Ehrlich back again this year from CWA Racing. Whitney Allison for the Hagens-Berman team in 7th, followed by Janelle Cole in 8th. Faith Montreux in 9th. And Harriet Owen back on the American circuit, rounding out the top 10. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we got live racing from Anniston, Alabama.
While you may not be a pediatric surgeon volunteering your topiary talents at a children's hospital, your life is just as unique. Your Raymond James financial advisor gets to know you, your passions, and the way you give back, so you can live your life. That's life well planned.
From sunup to sundown, Sparklight provides you with gig speeds over our fast and reliable fiber-rich network, powering all your family's devices throughout the day. And with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi coverage guaranteed, even from home, you can live life at gig speed.
Sunny King Automotive Group is celebrating 100 years in Anniston. Please join us in marking our centennial anniversary in our hometown. From all of us at Sunny King Ford, Sunny King Honda, and Sunny King Toyota, we thank you for 100 years, and we look forward to many, many more. Sunny King Automotive Group, serving Greater Calhoun County since 1922.
Welcome back. Front row being called up to the line here as we get ready for our pro women's race here at the Sunny King Criterium. Just about 3 minutes out from our race start. We'll talk about some of the big names here in just a bit. CW Racing with Emily Ehrlich and Madison Kelly in there. There's Paige Kostanecki for the Butcher Box Pro Cycling Team. Tina Pick, another rider with a lot of experience racing here. And then the New Zealand champ, Olivia Ray from Rally Cycling, flying what would normally be the orange flag, but she's wearing the New Zealand National Champions kit out there in the white and black. So a lot of talent in this field tonight, Laura.
You know, I was actually, when we're looking at the recap from 2019 and looking at CWA, I feel like this might be their race to lose tonight. They've got the numbers, they've got the experience. They had Daniele get 3rd in that year, so I'm looking to them tonight to cover and kill or get up the road to make this race dynamic, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the story tonight, the dynamic racing, just waiting for that break to go, seeing if it's going to go, and watching the field try to roll up as well and cover those moves. So a lot of talented riders in this field. We talked earlier to Aisha McGowan. She's going to be on the front a lot tonight. I think her last stop here in the United States before she heads over to Europe as the first professional African-American female road racer. So cool to have this stop on her journey.
And I felt like she was super comfortable today talking to us. Usually she's really nervous and, you know, you can feel the anxiety and nerves on her. So I feel like today she was super calm, and this is her home race. She drove in today with Will and Emoji, so I'm so excited to see her race tonight.
I'm glad we got an update on Emoji the dog. That's an important part of Aisha's journey. She's been driving the Ford Bronco around with Emoji in the back. So it looks like we are just about ready to get started with our race. So now we'll pause for our national anthem.
If everybody would please take a moment, I would like to be able to welcome a member of cast out of Anniston from Mumford to sing our national anthem, Chelsea Duke.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Chelsea Duke with our national anthem, and that means it's time to go racing. We are back in Anniston, Alabama, and man, it feels good to say that. It's been too long since we had a nice long run of American bike racing, and this is American bike racing to its core. This is as good as it gets. This is what we're about here in the United States. Good old-fashioned fast criterium racing.
And it feels like it's ramped up from Tulsa, from Toad, from nationals into now. It just feels like we are just back into the groove of bike racing. Absolutely wonderful.
Well, safe to say, I think crit racing is in a pretty good place right now here in the United States. So they are getting the final countdown right now. And we're underway in racing at the 2021 Sunny King Criterium Pro Women out on course. And look at this, Olivia Ray not messing around early on.
Set the tone, set the pace. That was something Erica Aller always did. We talked a little bit about her earlier, seeing Jamie out here, and she was always known to just kind of go from the gun and just go ahead and get that pace ramped right up.
And she has successfully strung this field out single file, sending a message early on that this is not going to be an easy night in Anniston. Emily Ehrlich back up to the front now, going to take her CWA Racing Trek teammate Madison Kelly with her. And then that'll put Ray into third with Paige Kostanecki sitting in fourth there, the red jersey of Butcher Box Pro Cycling Team. These riders doing an hour of racing. We're going to be counting up on time on the clock that you see in the upper left corner. And then once the officials here on stage figure out an average lap time, we'll start counting down on laps. So working up on time. Is this a weird way to race, Lauren? I know it kind of throws a lot of spectators off when it's like we're counting up on time and then switching to laps. I mean, you pretty much just look at this as an hour effort.
Yeah, for sure. You know, a lot of times I would think spectators are more just looking at the race go by, which is all right. But yeah, I don't really know that they look so much at the laps until we start talking about the laps, right? But no, for me, it was always, it's just an hour of racing, no matter what the lap counter says or what the timer says.
It's always interesting to me when you talk to riders about how much they ride, or it's never how far they rode. It's always in time. Like, what was your ride like today? You don't say I rode 100 miles. You said I rode 5 hours.
Right, because you could be doing 45 miles up a mountain, or you could be doing 45 miles straight. So it was always based off of time, never off of mileage.
Looks like Brown moving up a little bit here. CWA Racing seems like they might have a little bit of a plan here early. Try and control, try and get to the front, try and keep their riders out of trouble.
Yep.
And looks like a few riders might be trying to come over the top of that one.
Well, they also want to say, you know what, we know how to race the front too and take control. That's going to be Harriet Owen right there, just going to, she had a great week at Toad.
Oh, man. She led it up with one teammate, Rachel Langdon. They did have Nairi Barraclough join in later on in the week, but those two up at the front were awesome. Harriet ended up second place overall to Matilda Reynolds winning the yellow jersey up there, but put on a show. We had the addition of Skylar Schneider later in the week. That definitely affected the GC a little bit because Schneider went 5 for 6, I think. She took a third place on her first night and then won every single day after that through the end of Toad. So that took up some of the points in the GC battle. Schneider not here tonight, so we'll see if Harriet Owen can get a win.
Well, and her teammate Rachel Long did so well also. I mean, she was nothing to just right off the back, right? I mean, she had great results helping Harriet as well.
Langdon was up there every single day taking pulls. All right, they're ringing a $300 cash premium here on the line. So winner this lap is going to take home $300 cash. I see Aisha McGowan starting to make her way up second wheel. We talked a little bit about her plan. She didn't want to give away too much, but $300 goes a long long way your first time in Europe, that's for sure.
No doubt. And, you know, I think Aisha, it's been so great to see her more and more up at the front, gaining more confidence. And like I said, she just seems so comfortable tonight and in her zone and in her element. So I'm just really excited to see how she's going to pull this off. And I'll be honest, Brad, a preem this early in the race as a sprinter, I was not very happy with this.
No.
But, hey, I'd let somebody else have the money, and then I would just enjoy the ride.
Well, that's part of the fun, is mixing things up out there a little bit. Olivia Ray popping out to the side, taking a look. And look, everyone looking over the shoulder. If you're on the front right now, you're starting to realize you're in a bad spot. So you're like, I need to get out of here because I'm about to get swarmed here.
Yep. See Rachel Langdon sitting 4th, 5th right there. Insta Fun. Aisha on her wheel. Corners 3 and 4.
So this is the final corner. Ray rounds the left-hander, and she's going to open it up from a long way out. Nothing else you can do in this situation, right?
You know the saying, when in doubt, lead it out.
Oh, man, and it's going to pay off here. She dropped the wheel behind her. CWA Racing not able to close the gap, and I think Ray is going to pick this one up $300 richer for the New Zealand champ.
Yeah, I think CWA, will just start to sew this back together. Try not to chase anything down too crazy or split the field. Like we said, we think they're going to try to be in control of this race tonight.
Well, that gets a lot more difficult when Olivia Ray rolls off the front. You can see the shape of this field changing drastically, going single file. Now, again, the back side is downhill. It's an uphill stretch on the front side. You give it all back between turns 2 and 3, and then basically flat in between turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4, the short parts of the rectangle. But the long parts are uphill on the start-finish stretch and a nice, long, fast downhill on the back stretch.
And you can see Olivia just looking around like, hey, all right, I'm here.
Yeah.
Come get me now. I'm not really pedaling hard. And then CWA back there is like, you know what, neither are we.
Yeah, kind of sending the message of like, hey, look, I'm not here for a breakaway. I just wanted the preem.
Yep.
If you guys want to come up and join, I'd be more than happy to do that. So I think another big story is no big rosters. No 4, 5, 6 rider deep rosters. A lot of strong teams, a lot of strong riders, but a lot of them only have 1, maybe 2 teammates out there.
Yeah, minus CWA. Again, they've got the numbers out of anybody here. So, you're probably going to have the 1s and 2s right now. I think this is Morgan Patton right now. Morgan Brown off the front. You'll have CWA cover, kill, or start sewing it back together. They'll get together and just man the front of this peloton.
Morgan Brown. I think it's Morgan Brown.
And you can separate through the start-finish on this uphill, through turn 1, through turn 2. Then you hit that downhill on the backstretch, and it's not any fun by yourself. So that's where you're looking around, hoping for some help. And yeah, it looks like there's some folks come up, meet her, and see if they can't get something rolling.
Yeah, Morgan Brown going to bring at least one with her, Emily Ehrlich. She had one rider tucked behind her and couldn't see.
I bet that's Debbie Milne. Can't miss her. She was at Nationals. She was off the front at Nationals with Veronica Ewers, and I talked to her earlier at registration, talking to Debbie, and she said, you know what, Lauren, I was right on my limit. If I pulled through, I was going to get dropped, but the Veronica kept throwing the elbow, and Debbie's ego, she just couldn't let it go. She had to pull through, and she said, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But, that's racing, and here she is now back in the break, so it's good to see Debbie up the road.
And that's going to cause a little split here. We'll call this 6 clear on the way up. And InstaFun going to try and keep this one rolling. Saying if we can get rid of some riders out of the group, we might as well right now. That's pretty good looking. Rachel Langdon on the front.
Colleen Gullick just right there off the back, shaking her head a little bit because probably Rachel's up there. If I know Rachel, I've raced against her. She is a tough cookie, and she's definitely going to set the tone and want this break to stay away.
You're really really going to be looking for who's not in this move of what is now 6 riders. I think that's probably the biggest story of who misses it, what sprinters aren't in there. I guess Olivia Ray would be noticeable. With no other rally riders in the field, Ray's going to be the only rider that'll have a shot at this.
Tina Pick missed it, and her teammate.
Yeah. Now CWA trying to get one more up there, I think. That's Ehrlich already in, and I think Madison Kelly is the next one trying to come across. Yeah, that's Kelly going in. And then comes Automatic Women's Racing.
Had a chance to talk to Tish Kelly this morning, the team owner of CWA, and based out of Naples, Florida, and that's her daughter right there, Madison. And do you know that Madison's in med school and then races bikes?
Well, that is an unfortunate reality for a lot of riders in this field. The salaries just aren't there, and I would say most of these riders, if not all of them, are working somewhere outside of their bike racing career. They're ringing up $150 premium on the line here as they roll through. But I can't say it's a surprise to see a doctor in the women's field. We see a lot of higher educated riders in the pro women's peloton.
I raced with the veterinarian. I raced with the anesthesiologist, a lawyer. So I think I was the least qualified out of all of them, and I have a master's degree.
But you're proving the point right here. All I have is a measly bachelor's degree. All right, so $150 on the line. Langdon going to take a little look. It's going to be Harriet Owen. Langdon trying to do a little bit of blocking back at the front of the field, maybe. I think Rachel Langdon changed sunglasses, because I was picking out Owen at Tour of America's Dairyland based on her like giant white glasses. And now Rachel Langdon has the same glasses. So
the sponsorship finally came through, or they finally changed these around, yeah.
So that's Langdon's second wheel ahead, or just behind Paige Kostanecki from the Butcher Box Pro Cycling Team. They were also up at Tour of America's Dairyland. Seems like that's a pretty good place to build some form. I mean, if you're trying to do a nice midsummer block, can't beat 10 days of back-to-back racing.
Yeah, every day, wake up, race your bike.
Yeah.
Try and win.
For better or worse.
Yeah, well, yeah, and if it works, it does. And if it doesn't, hey, guess what? You get to do it again tomorrow. What an opportunity.
Lucky you. Harriet Owen picking up a nice, easy $150, or at least she made it look easy.
Yeah. They have a great hashtag on Instagram. I'm not going to say what it is on air, but go check out the Insta Fund or Harriet or Rachel's Instagram. It was pretty comical. I think they're having a good time traveling together.
And now we'll see if Owen wants to try and roll this one. She wasn't afraid to get into breaks to Tour of America's Dairyland. We'll see if anyone wants to join her. It's like a couple just inching off the front here.
Again, CWA, they're just going to cover, kill, represent. They've got the numbers until they don't. So race forward and keep representing the team.
And actually, Harriet Owen, in order to get into the United States to race, actually had to go spend 2 weeks in Mexico, quarantining in Mexico before she was able to come over into the U.S. to be able to do the first races at the Armed Forces Classic.
Starting to rail these corners.
Once you did the 2 weeks,
She's definitely into this move.
into the U.S. and since then she's been racing all across the country, including going to Tulsa Tough, going to Armed Forces in Washington, D.C., going to Tour of America's Dairyland in Wisconsin. She's been extremely active.
Owen, probably towards the end of a block of racing, I have to imagine. Did Tulsa, did Armed Forces, did Dairyland, now here in Alabama. I mean, how big is a block, Lauren? What does a race block look like usually?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Isn't Boise next weekend?
Yeah, and then Salt Lake.
So the crazy thing is,
a couple riders down here. We'll see if we can figure out what happened. And man, you hate to see this. That is Morgan Brown on the left-hand side of the picture. I'm going to wait to identify the rider on the right until I know for sure and can get a number. It was at the back of the group. That's Brown. Oh, Brown wearing 30. And number
Brown's
20
just a victim of.
just came right into her. Faith Powell, the Nashville local cycling team. Not sure if she got hung up on fence or what the issue was.
You know, she might have hooked bars with somebody and pulled away, and that leads to a jerk across the peloton like that you can't see. It's good to see her walking.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to get her to medical immediately. This is another unfortunate scenario where you really hope that we have good concussion protocols for these riders, and we make sure that they're not getting back into races that they shouldn't be getting back into. I know this has been a problem for multiple races, but the Anniston Fire Department here is going to make sure that she gets taken care of what she needs.
A longtime sponsor of the Sunny King Criterium. Sunny King Automotive Group been around since 19.
So they did clear the course, no neutralization.
We still got Morgan down, but hopefully that's wide enough space so we can keep racing.
Relatively still, Daniela Garcia from
Now Garcia going to try and go across the gap here.
Unfortunately, that's the type of thing that's good for Harriet. I mean, something like that just messes up the mix a bit in the peloton. People pause, kind of check on your teammates, see what's going on, account for everybody that you have here, and that can just increase the gap for Harriet to her advantage. And we see CWA trying to close us down and bridge across, and Debbie Milne also just towing the field up to CWA.
It looks like they're going to attack this back, as they should. I mean, Harriet Owen, a solo rider, 15 minutes into a 60-minute race. Unless she got help, I don't think Owen wanted to be out there solo any more than the field wanted her.
Nah, for sure. I think Harriet's more of a sprinter anyway, so she's probably like, okay, thanks. Thanks for bringing me back. Hey, Rachel, guess what? It's your turn now.
Got what I needed. Thank you very much.
And Daniela will definitely know how to race this race, being third 2 years ago. So it's interesting that she was the one that brought her back. But hey, you know what? You're at the front sometimes, and you're the one. So you just do it. You're there.
A lot of looking back.
Debbie almost crossing wheels right there with Harriet looking back.
And here goes Ehrlich again up the right side for CWA Racing. Man, beautifully set up there by CWA. Really sensed it, and right when things started to calm down a little bit, Ehrlich launches up the right side, and now Owen's still going to chase her.
I think that's Rachel Langdon, and she was coming from like the back of the peloton to do a counterattack to Harriet, but she was so far back, she just now got to catch up to the CWA rider.
Ehrlich out of Michigan. Been with the CWA team for a few years now. Good long-range rider. Got a lot of distance riding in her. Actually coached by Frankie Andre, believe it or not, up in Michigan.
I had to ask if you were serious about that.
Local connection.
Yeah.
Well, so what happened was Emily was so good as an amateur rider coming up through the ranks. It was kind of like, we've got to get this rider some coaching. We've got to get her to the next level. And so she got hooked up with Frankie and rode her way onto the CWA Racing, presented by Trek Team, and now riding at the front of the Sunny King Crit.
I'd say if anybody's got some experience at bike racing, it'd be Frankie. So I'm sure she probably had some good insight on talking to him.
What was your first coaching experience? I mean, when did you, does it come from a team? Does it come from you? Do you go seek out a coach? How does that process work, and when do you decide it's time to get a coach?
I would say actually my first coaching experience came from the guys that I bought the bike from at the bike shop. They were the ones to tell me how to shift gears, go back all the way to the basics of how to change a tire. What a field sprint looks like for the city limit sign, and from there they're like, hey, we do this thing called bike racing. So I'd say those guys for sure. They raise me up, and I think that's why I have such an affinity for the Velo Vit guys.
Looks like Madison Kelly getting pushed back into the race here. Not sure if she went down in that crash or it was just a mechanical.
Yeah, sometimes if you get touched or, yeah, chain, anything like that from that crash, you can definitely go to the pit and get it looked at.
A very good inline skater coming out of Michigan.
So we'll keep an eye on the gap here, up on the front.
We're coming over her first year on the team. A very active bike racer, also doing over 75 races in 2019.
Ehrlich doing most of the work here so far. In fact, you can even see Langdon tucking in a little bit there on the way down.
Yeah, on that downhill for sure, leading into this corner 3 right here, trying to take every advantage possible.
We saw this in one of the earlier amateur races. I think it was the 3-4s where we had 2 riders away, 1 rider pulling for like 4 laps until the second rider was able to recover and then start helping out a little bit.
Are we saying it was recovering? Is that what we're going with?
That's yeah.
Is that what you
that's
need,
what
Brad?
I'm going with.
Okay.
Our Sunny King forward comes through. Rest of the riders are coming through.
Gap just a few seconds.
Debbie trying to give it a shot to come across right there. If she can make it, that's a good break. But I just don't know if anybody's going to let her up the road as well.
The Sunny King Criterium title up for grabs as Debbie Mill now trying to be able to get up to our 2 race leaders.
And that's the thing for Emily and Rachel is they should give it an honest try for a good 5 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going full gas, and then you kind of assess the situation. If Peloton's pretty close, you sit up, you call it. But if they're not, you keep rolling it out and see if you can't get into a groove. But looks like that attack by Debbie is basically bringing the Peloton.
Rachel Langdon is pulling through it all. Emily Orrick's been the one on the front.
Yeah, a lot of riders showing some interest up on the front of the field, as you should. I mean, these are 2 really strong breakaway riders. If you could get across this move clean, if you can get across without bringing anyone with you, that is your best case scenario tonight if you don't like your chances in the sprint.
Exactly.
Criterium as they come around turn number 4 and start to head up towards our start finish line.
And Milne looking pretty good here. Just about halfway across the gap at 21 minutes in. She's going to want to close this ASAP, though.
$100 premium winner.
Looks like it's her daughter, Caitlin, just taking a pull from Mom, page out of Mom's book, and having the counterattack.
And they're bringing up a $100 premium here on the line as well. We'll see if that's enough to get any riders out of the field to maybe shut it down for $100.
Her heart has to be going through the roof. She's trying so hard to get into the back of this group right now.
Oh man, if she could just make contact, and she should have made it already before this downhill.
Creeping into her mind. It's only 2 bike lengths. Trying to be able to just push on the pedal so close.
Now remember, a lot of this money comes from CWA Racing, presented by Trek. We talked about Tish Kelly, the team owner and manager earlier, crowdfunding all these preems, and came up to $3 grand that's going out to the field tonight.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Can I go pin a number?
Yeah, sure. It's never too late to get back on the bike.
It's not. I probably couldn't even hang with these ladies anymore. They are giving it right now. I mean, you can tell. You can look at Emily's face. I mean, they're not just riding around.
I'm sure you'd be fine. For those of you at home, I can confirm that the last, I think, 3 weeks that I've seen Lauren, she's gotten up at like 5 a.m. to go trail running every morning. So
Yeah, but that's different. That's running. This is cycling.
you still got the aerobics.
So
You still got the. That's true. Do you ride much? I know a lot of riders kind of hang it up after you race for a living. It kind of changes your perspective on racing. What's your relationship with bike like right now?
I still absolutely love it. That's why I'm sitting here today. As a matter of fact, somebody just asked me if I miss racing, being at the race. No, I don't miss racing, but I absolutely love riding my bike. But now, Now I can just race or ride any bike I want, my mountain bike, my gravel bike, my road bike, and guess what? I don't have to ride in the rain or the cold.
You can leave when you want, you can end when you want, ride on your own terms. So no sprint for that Preem that time through. They are more interested in making this work, more interested in trying to roll this breakaway. Not sure if they cut a deal. A lot of times we'll see riders just decide to split the Preem money, but Ehrlich just rolled right through on the front of that group of 3.
Yeah, and Olivia Ray was like, you know what? It's time for you guys to come back.
Yeah. So that's going to shut it down. A little bit of coasting in the group.
Olivia probably saw the danger of a CWA rider being up there and said, you know what, this could be gone, so let's bring it back.
And here goes CWA again. This is going to be Garcia. Just when things might get a little bit easier after bringing back the Emily Ehrlich attack. Here goes CWA again. It might be actually Anna Teresa Casas. Get confirmation on the number.
And then you see Harriet. I mean, they're such crafty racers, Harriet and Rachel. Like, there's Harriet just covering it right there. They know how to race their bikes.
As they slow it down, oh, there's the counter right there. Instafund with the counter.
Nice counter from Instafund on the way up. CWA covering it.
Some 1-2 punches coming up here, Frankie, for a little while now.
Man, CWA and Instafund have really been the 2 aggressors out there tonight, haven't they?
Yeah.
Now they're throwing out another 200 cash to the winner of the next lap.
Got Aisha right there in the gap trying to come across with Olivia.
Kind of surprised to see how many riders have made the junction.
And McGowan in good position there, 5th wheel around the turn.
This is just going to be punch after punch after punch, Brad.
Well, CWA brought the numbers. 6 riders on the roster, the deepest roster here tonight at the Sonny King Criterium.
And here's the deal. If you're a CWA rider and you're not feeling it, you just brought something back, sometimes just that fake attack, you try an attack, it breaks up the field enough, and then boom, your next teammate goes, and that's the break. So you just never know. So it's always worth, even if you're not feeling it, even if you guys have been going hard for 25 minutes, you put in that one attack. It may not be much, but it could be enough to get your teammate off the front.
Yep. It's all about the setup. Mill going to lead it into the corner here.
Aisha's going to let Olivia close that down for her.
Why not?
Smart.
Into the last turn. McGowan might be a little far back here. We'll see if she tries to open up the sprint. Ray's going to go. Aisha's going to stay on the wheel. Ray gets up, gaps McGowan off.
Ray's totally just going for the money.
Yeah, look over the shoulder for Olivia Ray. Make sure she's got this $200 in her pocket.
Here comes
Gonna get a little challenge on the line.
I thought it was going to be a counterattack, but she was. It is a counterattack. She keeps going.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, Sarah Tussey Rains from the Colavita HelloFresh Women's Pro Cycling Team. They bring 4 tonight with Tina Pick, Christina Goki-Smith, Allie LaCroix, and Tussey Rains.
I can't cover all this. I don't know if you saw that between turn 1 and turn 2. Olivia Ray.
Solo move off the front.
Christina Goki-Smith on the radio right there. Wonder what she's telling her. Keep going.
Let's let this one go. So Sarah Tussey Rains finds herself in the solo position off the front. 27 minutes in, just about halfway through.
There's a handful of riders in this field. You talked about Emily.
And still working off the clock here on the line. We'll let you know when the officials switch over to laps.
CWA forced to the front.
CWA's Garcia covering again, been doing a lot of work tonight to cover these moves. I think that is her role for the blue and white squad tonight.
And Harriet, you know, when Garcia Ray pulls off, Harriet's like, you know what, you've got the numbers. Keep going, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
After allowing her to sit in, she's been tailgating all night. She couldn't sit in the back. Sit in, be able to rest the legs, right? Save everything for the sprint. Every team has a different tactic and a different strategy. Some want to be able to save certain riders for the sprint. Others want to attack and make it as hard as possible.
We haven't really seen a big gap yet tonight, so if this goes over like 15 seconds, that'll be the biggest break of the evening so far. But looks like she's going to let this one come back, and sure enough, CWA Racing going to counter it.
Emily goes for it again.
Really strung out now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Field is starting to get strung out, starting to get in one long line. If they continue to keep racing like this, I think another 10 minutes, we're going to have a breakaway that's actually going to establish and it's going to form. So the riders really need to pay attention.
It really seems like it's just a matter of time before one of these moves goes. I mean, they've tried to light the fuse multiple times, and we're just waiting for the big boom here.
Yeah, it's just like Rachel Langdon going again. This is the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's a bit tired right now. But this is the time where you need another somebody to just take one for the team, go for it. What do you got to lose? Sorry, this is Harriet. My apologies.
It's the glasses, I'm telling you.
Could you guys wear something different?
Well, Field not looking as worried about this one. You can see them all spread out. Olivia Ray taking on some energy off to the left-hand side of the picture, right-hand side of the field.
Just kind of hoping somebody else would close this down right now so she could take
I
that
did
gel.
my part. Time for you guys to do your part. And you can't fault CWA. They've done their part for sure.
And this is where, you know, if CWA doesn't want to try and jump across and cover, just monitor the gap.
Yeah.
You got one rider up there.
Well, monitor they are, sending one more up to the front. I think this is Madison Kelly trying to go now to shut down Harriet Owen. Group still together. Haven't seen many riders come off the back. Still a good-looking field here. You can usually start to see riders kind of start to dangle off the back at this point in the race. 30 minutes in, you start to see the riders in trouble.
You start to see these gaps open up in the peloton that people think, I can close that down. But you know what? Then it starts taking those 2 or 3 pedal strokes that just get harder and harder.
Riders in the chase trying to get a little organized here. Just saw Milne with a little hand wave, I think, to Colleen Gulick back there, saying, come on, come on, come on.
Let me show you how to do this, guys. Get up here.
Yeah.
This is the pace.
Exactly.
All right, now pull through, please.
And Owen's going to try and roll this one. Out of the saddle, solo. That tells me she's pretty well committed to this move.
Especially when you stand up out of the corner. Or she wants to roll over at least the top solo. So if she gets caught through corners 1 and 2, she can roll the backside and sit in.
Harriet Owen stays off the front like that. Rachel Langdon can just sit in. She doesn't have to do any work. She can just kind of get a free ride. Second time Harriet Owen's gone up the road.
It looks like
CWA
is going to bring her back.
Another attempt and another breakaway reeled back in here. Not for lack of trying by Harriet Owen, that's for sure. But I think Owen is just having trouble recruiting the right riders to come up with her. Just haven't had the right match of riders up in the breakaway. And now a lot of looking around again, saying who's next?
Attrition starting to set in, that's for sure.
Olivia Ray moving back a little bit, a little closer to the back of the field. Saw Paige Bauer, number 4, tacked on the back for Automatic Racing. And look, CWA, even when they're on the front, always looking around, always keeping an eye on things. That's good, smart bike racing, good tactical bike racing from the CWA Racing presented by Trek Team.
Sometimes if you slow down too much as a sprinter, it hurts when somebody attacks like that. So she'll just be up there to roll it a bit and just keep the pace up. And it also deters others from attacking, especially on that downhill. Well, you shouldn't be attacking on a downhill, but
30 minutes into this race, so that means 30 minutes still to go on the 1 hour pro women's race. This hill is going to start taking its toll.
Taylor Kirk White starting to move up the outside as well for the Philly Bike Expo team. Taylor was talking earlier today on Instagram about the Philly Bike Expo team and how difficult it is for this team to travel around the country with trans athletes on the team. It was something that I'd never really thought about, the effort and work that goes into making sure that a place that they're coming to race is safe and that they're going to be welcome and comfortable to race for her teammates. I thought it was something that a lot of riders take for granted. I know certainly something that I've never had to deal with in my life, but that's what this is about, is making sure that we understand what these riders are going through and making sure that everybody's comfortable on the bike, because everyone deserves to race where they want to race. Everyone deserves to race in the races that they belong in, and unfortunately there are some less welcoming places than others here in the country, and so as we continue to try to make that more comfortable for more riders and welcome more riders into these cities and into these races, I think we should say thank you to the Philly Bike Expo team, because they've had been spreading that message across the country with trans riders on the team. I know it's a often uncomfortable conversation and uncomfortable journey, but the Philly Bike Expo team has been leading that charge, and so I really appreciate what they've done with that program.
Yeah, and we're glad that she's here. So I would say that tonight in this place is a safe environment for her to be racing, and we're glad to be here as well.
This rally, the white jerseys, the black helmet. She's already won 2 of the prees. Maybe she's thinking about getting preen number 3. She's in a good position.
A little bit of a split happening up here. We'll call this 6 clear.
You have to be careful to not let this scoop off the road. Easily after this sprint, a breakaway good form, because many riders are tired from the constant.
Seeing the Colavita Hello Fresh riders kind of sitting on the back, I think they might be starting to get smart with everything going on here. $250 preem on the line. Olivia Ray is going to hit the ATM again. She's going to fly private home from this one.
Going for it again. Why not?
It's always fun when you land at the international airport, but you take off from the regional airport.
I mean, she's got such a good kick. She separates so easy from the group. I'm just wondering, like, you know, is it worth saving your legs now for the finish? You know. But hey, take home the cash.
Yeah. There are so many races, and I love this about Criterium Racing, where you can make more money pre-hunting than you do for winning the race. Up at Tour of America's Dairyland, they have a stop in a little city called Janesville, Wisconsin. It's maybe an hour and a half outside of Milwaukee. They had $30,000 in preems for one night of racing. They committed to $35,000 next year. So that's like a year's paycheck for a lot of riders that you can go pick up in one night of racing.
Hands down.
Amazing. But that's the cool part of crit racing, man.
I'd also like to say that the rally team, some of the team is over in Italy right now,
Yep.
racing the Giro Donne.
Yep.
Also like to be able to thank Calhoun County Commission, and the city of Anniston.
I've seen a lot more American women getting the chance to race over in Europe as teams like Rally have kind of been expanding their programs out into Europe a little more. I hate to see the riders go. I hate to lose them from the American scene here, but it is the natural progression for a lot of these riders. And many of them, you know, the goal, just because I love Criterium Racing, that's not the goal for everybody. And so I think many of them are finally getting to realize some opportunities that they've been hunting for a long time. Riders like Aisha McGowan. I'm going to hate to see Aisha go. I'm bummed that we're not going to see her on the next stops on the crit circuit, but I'm so glad that she's going to be over in Europe.
I am too. That's going to be a great experience for her. It's going to be super tough. It's definitely not easy making that jump over to Europe, but hey, you got to do it.
Yeah. Have you talked to Aisha about the transition to European racing? I mean, I know she's a little nervous. She knows it's going to be tough, but would you give any advice to Aisha for, you know, her first long stint racing in Europe?
You know, I definitely don't have to give her any advice. She's on such a great team with Liv. She's got some great athletes on that team over there to help her, and she's already done a team camp with them. So I know she's well taken care of and well looked after. So yeah, she's going to be fine without my help for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about a rider like Aisha McGowan, who has been through so much, who has achieved so much, who has conquered so much? Europe's going to be a cakewalk for Aisha. It's like,
I don't know about a cakewalk.
well,
I can tell you.
In the front of this race right now
But, you know, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the trans riders. The experience of being an African-American woman racing in the United States is something that I'll never be able to understand truly, but, you know, we can always work to try to better understand it.
I mean, how many doors has she opened up with her grant, the Abundance Grant? I mean, that's so cool to see to come to fruition. I remember sitting on the bus with her talking about it, and just she's sitting there talking about having this idea. What do you think? And well, she wasn't even asking my opinion, but she's like, "This is what I'm going to do."
She's telling you she was going to do it. Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Wow, this is really great. This is so awesome and such a great experience for new athletes."
And I have a feeling we'll see a lot of those riders back. They had a great experience at Tour of America's Dairyland. It's another really good place to kind of learn how to race, kind of get your race legs under you the first time. Welcoming environment. They have a novice-only field for first-time riders. It's kind of a bummer when you get mixed in with the threes, or you have to, you know, you get blown out the back in your first race, and you're like, well, I'm not coming back. This was not fun at all.
Right.
And so they offer a novice-only category up there at Tour of America's Dairyland, which is really cool to get new riders into the sport.
Straight to the front to do the work.
All right, so Claire Windsor leading the way now for the Supra Functional Food Bars team. That is the squad of the mother-daughter duo of Kate and Debbie Milne.
Again, we were at registration and talking to Claire and talking to Debbie, and do they use radios or not? And I was like, what better place to learn how to race a bike than here at this Criterium? And I said, go on the offensive. What do you got to lose? How else do you learn how to race your bike than just going on the offensive? So it's great to see her up here in the break.
Well, I can answer the question about radios because I've seen their acting director, Andy Crater, shuttling back and forth from the backside to the front side with a radio in his hand, trying to give some info to the riders up in the breakaway.
Trying to do a breakaway, trying to get away with Anna Teresa Casas from CWA Racing.
Is there much that a director can tell you in a situation like this? I mean, I have to imagine you pretty much know the plan. Like, if you're on the breakaway, roll the breakaway. If you're not in the breakaway, chase the breakaway. Is that the kind of stuff that a director's giving you in your ear in a situation like this?
It's more of affirmation of, we're going to race plan right now. This is going according to plan, or this is how are you feeling? That was also said and asked in my ear a lot. Just, you know, give yourself a little check. Also, the break, the gap. How far are you, you know, who's chasing to sit on? You know, that's something you can't always just look back and see, especially now that the sun's setting a little bit.
It's been a very fast race. Riders seeing 11 laps to go. That means 10 more times up the hill.
All right, so moving to laps now on the counter, seeing 11 to go as they roll through. Sun's starting to set. It's getting in our eyes here on the stage. It's getting pretty intense. Luckily, it's going to be at the riders' back as they come towards the line. But on that downhill section, they're going to be staring right into a low-setting sun here. So,
and where it's most interesting is corner 3. Because, again, we've talked about the rough pavement, the manhole cover. There's actually a crack that runs the length of the course. You'll see them cross over it, and the sun just sets right at the perfect time. Then you start to second guess yourself going into that turn just a little bit. So then the question, you know, do you use clear lenses knowing that it's going to be a finish in the dark? Or
I was just going to ask.
Or do you use regular sunglasses? And I think I always just would use regular sunglasses, and, you know, you can ditch them the last couple of laps. You can throw them to your team director, like you said, who's standing on the side of the barriers.
Yep.
And, you know, these glasses are meant to be bounced around. So you'll get them back, and they'll be okay. But yeah, I always raced with sunglasses because I didn't want that sun in my eyes to be a problem.
A lot of riders will tuck it on the back of the jersey, too, if you don't have someone to toss it to.
Or put it on your helmet.
I can never do that. I don't know how the pros do it. They flip it upside down. It's always like it's in cross lopsided. It's in the wrong vent. They make it look so easy on TV, and I can never do it when I'm out riding.
It's okay, Brad. That's why you're sitting here and you're professional here.
That is 100% why I'm sitting here. All right, another little move going. As has been the story just about every lap or every other lap tonight, no lack of aggression in this pro women's race here at Sunny King. So So this is going to be another one of the Colavita Hello Fresh riders.
Looks like Sarah Tussey again.
Yep.
As we see the Colavita Hello Fresh rider off the front there with the small dash.
Garcia to cover for CWA.
Looks like Tussey.
And she's got a teammate third wheel back
Tina
in the group.
Pick.
That's Tina Pick. We'll see if Tina's going to do anything to try to set this move up a little bit.
So one thing I learned earlier is that Frankie has a pocket full of cash. That pocket full of
Tina
cash
Pick left a
burns
pair
a
of
hole in his
sunglasses at
pocket.
my house when I was like 10 years old. We were host housing. I still have them, and I still wear them. Rudy Projects.
Aw,
Yeah.
you should get her to autograph them for you.
I have so many autographed Tina Pick things. We have like water bottles, jerseys. It's all from the autotrader.com team. If you go
That's
way
before
back.
my time.
The way back machine. Oldest rider in the field, 55 years old for Tina Pick. Still riding the front of this group. Incredible.
$250 winner of the next lap. Who's going to want $250 in their pocket? Winner of the next lap.
Frankie, Sarah Tussey burned a hole in you when you rang that bell. She looked over at you like, why? Why?
Big thank you, Hayden, for being our bell ringer.
Tina's always been known to kind of mash a big gear. Tonight is no different.
Look at this. Milne giving direct instructions now. I'm not sure who she's talking to, but she pointed directly at a wheel in front of her and was like, you need to be right here. And here goes CWA. Again, up the left side. I think this is Madison Kelly grinding her teeth a little bit.
Harriet Owen on her wheel. Olivia Ray coming up.
Ray making it back up to the front, probably because there's 250 on the line. Can't say I'm shocked. Kirk White making her way up here as well, up the left side. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Look at Milne right there on the right-hand side of the screen. I think saying you need to get up there and do some work.
Huh.
As we ring that bell for this $250 premium,
You never know.
Back to the front. Ray and Kirk White going to go at it here. Ray leads it out. Kirk White on the wheel, out of the saddle. Ray looking back.
Head down. She wants the money.
Man, looks like she's going to have this one locked up, but
Taylor.
Taylor Kirk White giving it a go for the Philly Bike Expo team tonight.
I wonder if she'll counter that. And if Olivia can stick that wheel again, another good break. That if they work together.
This is awesome. Kirk White, Ray
That was a good read.
cooperating really well. Flick the elbow immediately. Ray's going to get to work, even exchanging a few words here as she gets up to the front. I see Kirk White is riding on a different front and rear wheel. I'm not sure if she's already been into the pit, but you'll see she's got a deeper front wheel.
And you know what's amazing is we really haven't even seen Olivia stand up for a sprint.
Yep. Well, she just makes these long breaks and kind of tries to break the will of the riders behind her. It's worked so far.
I mean, I know she's a track racer and all.
They're trying to get the speed up higher. That's super on the front, though. They put Claire Windsor on the front.
Ray's getting tired. Starting to look like she's paying for the effort tonight, and it looks like they're going to pull the plug on this breakaway. Kirk White taking on some water. Look over the shoulder.
I wonder if Olivia said, hey, I have no interest in being out here. I'm just going for the money. But I know she's definitely doing the rally team proud.
If you have 2 or 3 riders on your team, you can sacrifice one of them to do the work for you.
Well, they were able to get Claire Windsor to do the work, which they run away on the catch. CWA with the counter, come up the home stretch right here in front of their VIP. Hey, VIP, that's
Looks like Daniele on the attack.
Yeah, Garcia going to lead it through here as they see 7 to go on the counter.
Definitely put a hole in the peloton with that attack.
Pace Power from Automatic Racing in that orange jersey. A couple laps ago, she was dangling. She was almost off the back, but she managed to stick with it and latch on to the back of the group. So she's still in the race, and so that's fantastic to see.
You can see the faces on the ladies is definitely starting to show. A little bit of fatigue.
Coach Adam Meyerson sending me a message letting me know that Taylor is on a neutral bike. Her bike broke right before the start. So she is on a loaner bike out there tonight.
Good for her. That's good bike skills.
Takes a strong rider to be able to ride on any bike. A lot of riders like to blame it on the equipment and say, oh, the fit wasn't right. I felt weird. I didn't have my race wheels, whatever. Good rider can win on any bike, including one from Volvo Neutral Support. And again, we talked about the stress of getting to these races for a team with trans athletes like the Philly Bike Expo team. That makes it look easy when you have a bike break before the start. I mean, these women can handle anything.
Yeah, it throws you off because everything's different. Your seat height's not just right. The saddles are completely different. The bars are different, and so even turning and going through the corners, you're tight. You're right beside somebody else, so it just is a little bit different. So good on her for making it work and being right here at the pointy end of the race.
Green bell ringing for 600 cash on the line here, so continues to get more interesting. Just as the break was starting to roll off the front, and 5 riders got a little bit of space, back to 2 chasers. And now is where you start to think, okay, I can see the pattern. This number keeps getting bigger every time they ring the bell. Do I start to hold out? Do I start to think about what these next 6 laps are going to hold before the finish? Because again, if you're here for a payday, preem hunting might be the way to go.
Yeah, let's see if Olivia comes up. And just had a nice tweet from Ben Sharp saying that this is her first race back after breaking her leg in Spain. So what an impressive result thus far.
Well, I think she's weighed down by all the cash that she's won already, unable to come across the gap here.
You never know. I don't know. She's right there.
McGowan brought the chase up. And you see a little bit of conversation between the Colavita HelloFresh riders.
Watch out. Here comes Olivia.
And right on cue, Olivia Ray makes it up. About 7 wheels back now.
And Teresa Costa's coming around. Out of the saddle, $600 on the line. Who wants it?
And here we go. 1 and 2 going to get swamped coming up to the line. That'll go 3, 4, 5 next in line. And here goes Ray right up the left side. Oh, man. Well, safe to say Olivia Ray is back.
On the tops, Brad. She's racing on the tops. She's not even in the drops. Wow.
Oh, I love bike racing.
I know it.
Man.
And what we saw there was Debbie kind of came out of the corner sprinting, and then she kind of sat up a little bit, kind of hesitated. And I don't, she's done a lot of work tonight, so maybe you don't want to spend the effort to try and, go for the cash. So good on Olivia for seeing that and continuing on with the sprint.
The white jersey is going straight backwards right now. Her legs full of lactic acid. Her heart rate hitting 200. She has to try to recover before she can do.
And now we're going to start to get to the point where this could really snap some elastic out there with these sprints, because riders are starting to get tired. You got riders up there that have been sprinting for multiple preems. This is like right on the cusp of where a winning breakaway might form.
And you see some frustration, and that kind of comes out with fatigue. You see Debbie up there, wanting everybody to work together, and it's just not happening. She's just shaking her head there. So, yeah, the fatigue's setting in. We're down at 5 laps to go.
And Ehrlich going to take over on the front again. I actually kind of like the smaller teams here. It's really changing the racing, isn't it? We talked about this earlier in the day a little bit, but not having dominant teams, not to go back to the UHC days of the Blue Train, but it's certainly changed the racing. Very similar to the conversation about race radios or power meters on the bike. I mean, there's no denying that it affects the racing. Whether it's for better or for worse, that's up for debate, but it's definitely different racing without big 5, 6, 7 deep rider squads.
It is. I think it is a more dynamic race. With the big teams, it gets very controlled. But that's bike racing. That's the beauty of it too. Is if they want to come to this race with 6 people, and that's what they want to do. So you kind of got to honor both of these situations, like having the 1s and 2s like we have here today, or having a full team. I came from UHC, so I'm gonna tell you, I like the full team.
250 on the line. Garcia digging deep. Kostanecki behind her. Then comes Langdon, third wheel as we go. Look at Olivia Ray at the very back taking on water. Mouth agape. She is cooked, but I'm sure she'll still find her way back up to the front here.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I bet she's probably not going to go for the 250 preem, but I wonder now if she's going to just cash it in for the finish line.
How many more of these can she have left in her?
We're about to find out.
I guess that goes back to the old saying, how much money is enough? Just a little more. How many sprints are enough? Just one more. Garcia taking a page out of the Olivia Ray playbook here. It's going to be Kostanecki going with her across the gap. All the credit in the world to this rider tonight. Garcia's been awesome for CWA.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would think Daniela would just probably try and keep rolling this. Because now all CWA can sit back and just follow and say, hey, this is on you guys to cover.
Yep.
Sarah Tussey going for a cover right now. Colavita kind of lining up there at the front now.
Man, this would be a great course for Tina Pick. She's a big gear sprinter. She likes to push that low rotation, big gear sprint. Nice uphill grind for her. This could be a good one. She's gritting her teeth back there, though. Meanwhile, Garcia in this familiar and difficult position, solo off the front, wondering what to do. Nobody's going to join her. That's going to bring the field back together.
Sit up, hopefully nobody attacks, and you can recover and get back to the front.
Yep.
See Rachel Langdon sitting third wheel. I wouldn't be surprised to see her have one last-ditch effort attack.
Olivia Ray having a little conversation with Paige Kostanecki at the back there. Had her hand on the back.
One thing I would be worried about is you got to get rid of Olivia Ray.
Not sure what she was talking about. Maybe trying to recruit some help. No teammates. Trying to say, hey, you've been strong today. What do you say we try and pull something off here?
Hey, how about you lead me out and I'll give you some of this cash.
There you go. Hey, I got a pocket full of cash, and I would love a lead out in about 3 laps from now. McGowan moving up as well. She wants to be there tonight.
No doubt. This is definitely, again, we talked about this. It's kind of her hometown race. She said she saw a lot of her compatriots that she trains with here. So I know she's got a good cheering squad.
And look at how many riders moving up the left side here. All the Colavita Hello Fresh riders linking up together. Instafun back up there. I think safe to say this one's going to come down to a field sprint tonight.
The first race of the day, actually, to come to a field sprint. So this is exciting.
Well, I think the preems had a lot to do with it. I think that was a big part of sort of dictating the moves off the front, dictating where these riders wanted to put effort.
Will anybody take the Flyers? Anybody willing to risk losing in order to win?
And we'll see if Olivia Ray can move up one more time. She's at the back again in the white and black New Zealand National Champions jersey. As has been the story, just about every lap that she's not sprinting, she's back recovering, saving her energy, sitting in the draft, and then when she needs to get there, she's fresh, and she's kind of been dominating in the sprints coming to the line.
And she's very comfortable being towards the back, which I find interesting. But, I mean, obviously she's got it. She can cover some ground really fast just sitting. So, yeah, she's looking good. Oh, there was a crash.
Hate to see it. Saw a bike in the air, and looks like just one down. It's going to be one of the Robinson Forensic riders.
Right here, home stretch. I want to hear some bang on the boards.
Let's see if we can figure out where that was. It was towards the back of the group. Oh, a little bit of a chain reaction. She saw it happening, like 4 wheels in front of her, and then just grabbed a little too much brake.
I think she just caught the back wheel of that rider in front of her.
All right, down to the final lap of racing here as they're getting the bell for 1 to go. All together, CWA Racing dominant on the front all night. They got 4 up here. Instafun going to be sprinting with Harriet Owen and Rachel Langdon. Colavita looking for maybe Tina Pick.
And again, going back to seeing how comfortable Olivia was at the back, and that's a good reason to not be back there. And you see her moving up now towards the CWA train.
Yep. McGowan looking for a wheel to follow. She jumped right on Tina Pick's wheel and looked like that was the wheel she wanted. She was looking for it, found it, and got on it. She's going to take that escort up to the front. Here comes Ray moving up as well, up the left side for Rally Pro Cycling. McGowan moving up the far right side of the picture. Colleen Gulick, mouth open, trying to get up there as well. Here comes Langdon taking over. She's going to try and lead Harriet Owen out. Taylor Kirk-White moving up the right side of the group as well. Into turn 3. This will be into the final turn. CWA trying to move riders up the outside. Here comes Ehrlich. Oh man, Instafun in great position here into the final turn. Langdon going to lead out Harriet Owen. If anyone can sprint from this far out, it's got to be Owen here. And now they open it up, 150 meters to the line.
Olivia a bit boxed in back there.
Owen going to lead it out early. And she'll hold on, making it look easy for Instafun La Prima by 2 bike lengths. And you see Rachel Langdon celebrating as well. The perfect setup for Instafun. I mean, with just 1 teammate.
What a great lead out by
Harriet
Rachel.
Owen executed it perfectly. Rachel Langdon not only escorted Harriet Owen up to the front, but literally in turn 2 got back up in front of her, used her last match to get Harriet into the right position out of that final turn, and then Owen seals the deal for the Instafun La Prima team.
By bike lengths. She had that win.
And first thing you do, congratulate the teammates.
Exactly. That was a great sprint by Harriet. Great lead out by Rachel. The perfect race.
Yeah. The perfect race. It really was for Instafun. I'm sure they would have liked to have taken some of those preems from Olivia Ray, but Harriet had a nice payday up at Tour of America's Dairyland. They made some nice cash up there, so maybe the pockets are full.
And again, what way to figure out how to race together. They've been racing together, the 2 of them, all week at Toad, and then they come here, so they definitely knew the program and knew what they had to do.
And then the debrief after the race. This is my favorite part of the race. The cool down lap after, just watching the riders and how they sort of talk about it. And, well, keep talking about the bike race, I guess, is the most interesting thing. Just a little debrief.
Yeah, it's so fresh in your brain, so you're sitting there saying, hey, remember what you did right here at this time in the race? And you can just bring it up super fast, and for good or for bad.
Rachel spraying Harriet down. They'll have a chance to do that on the podium later tonight. We'll have our pro women's and pro men's podiums together following the conclusion of our pro men's race under the lights here in downtown Anniston. You can see the Noble Street Festival in full swing as well, just across the street from us here. Well, let's go back and take a look. An hour ago, just over an hour ago, they left the start line under very different lighting conditions. Nice and bright for the start. The sun has since set, and we're almost completely in the shadows on this course. But the early attacks from Morgan Brown there from the Novo Nordisk team. But then we saw some unfortunate crashes as Brown was caught up in that one on the back, along with Faith Powell of the Nashville local cycling team. That caused a little bit of confusion in the group, but I think the biggest story tonight were the multiple breakaway attempts. None of them stuck, but not for lack of effort. I think CWA Racing gets the most aggressive award out there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely put in some quality attacks, and we had Rachel and Harriet covering and killing, and then here's Rachel bringing it down to the line for Harriet. I mean, what a lead out.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better teammate in Rachel Langdon, and then couldn't ask for a better finisher in Harriet Owen from a long way out. A lot of riders would have lost steam before, and then Owen's been crafting the post up over the last few weeks racing here in the U.S.
I mean, who doesn't love a little chicken wing?
Yeah. And then the high five from Langdon as Instafun La Prima gets it done tonight. Winners of the 2021 Sunny King Criterium. So there you go. Emily Ehrlich ends up second place on the night. Rachel Langdon in third. How cool is that? Instafun going to get to celebrate on the podium together as Rachel holds on for the bronze medal spot. Christina Goki-Smith in fourth. Olivia Ray picking up fifth place for rally cycling. Alexi Costa in sixth, followed by Colleen Gulick in seventh place. Taylor Kirk-White from the Philly Bike Expo, presented by Velo John team in eighth. And then Debbie Milne, saw her at the front a lot tonight in ninth. And Madison Kelly, another CWA Racing, presented by Trek Rider, inside the top 10. They got three inside the top 10. Not bad out there tonight. But we have been thrilled to bring you the live images throughout the night, all night tonight. Our live stream is presented by Sparklight and Alabama Power. Big part of being able to bring this live stream is the ability to, well, have the internet connection that we need. And so our friends at Sparklight were out here early yesterday hooking up the internet, making sure we had a nice fast connection so that we could provide our live stream to viewers around the world all night. And Alabama Power keeping our TV truck and set powered up throughout the evening. So a big thanks to Sparklight and Alabama Power for helping make the live stream happen tonight at the Sunny King Crit. We're getting ready for the Pro Men. Coming up next, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, more racing from Anniston.
While you may not be a pediatric surgeon volunteering your topiary talents at a children's hospital, your life is just as unique. Your Raymond James financial advisor gets to know you, your passions, and the way you give back, so you can live your life. That's life well planned.
From sunup to sundown, Sparklight provides you with gig speeds over our fast and reliable fiber-rich network, powering all your family's devices throughout the day. And with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi coverage guaranteed, even from home, you can live life at gig speed.
Sunny King Automotive Group is celebrating 100 years in Anniston. Please join us in marking our centennial anniversary in our hometown. From all of us at Sunny King Ford, Sunny King Honda, and Sunny King Toyota, we thank you for 100 years, and we look forward to many, many more. Sunny King Automotive Group, serving Greater Calhoun County since 1922.
Welcome back downtown Anniston, Alabama, as we just wrapped up an incredibly exciting pro women's race here for the 2021 edition of the Sunny King Criterium. Now time for the pro men. They are bringing up the front row to the line right now. Just saw Thomas Gibbons get his call up on the very left-hand side of the screen for automatic racing. Another rider who came up to the Tour of America's Dairyland, joined us up there, got his legs underneath him and said, I gotta come race down in Alabama. So he is flying coming into this one. I expect to see some good things from Thomas Gibbons out there tonight. Michael Hernandez up next for the Best Buddies Racing Team. This is another powerhouse squad, including a new signing, Danny Summerhill, joining the team for, well, at least this race. Then comes Frank Travieso for the Excel City Bikes team out of Athens, Georgia, a Criterium legend. In fact, a rider that's had some pretty major impact here at the Alabama Cycling Classic. So don't be surprised to see more of Frank the Tank up on the front out there tonight.
Professional national Criterium champion. He's also a previous winner of this race, the Sunny King. Please welcome, he rides for Legion of Los Angeles out of Athens, Georgia.
Tanner Ward up next for the First Internet Bank Cycling team. Another strong Criterium squad.
He races for the National Local
And then I
Cycling
think
League. It's his sixth year with the team.
they'll bring Ty Magner up next, another former winner here at the Sonny King Criterium, now riding for maybe the most exciting team in Criterium racing right now, the Legion of Los Angeles pro cycling team. Ty riding out of Athens, Georgia for the LA-based squad.
Fourth at the Pro Criterium Nationals. Just won a stage of the Tour of America. 2 years old, John Heinlein.
And we'll talk a lot about the teams tonight, but Ty Magner racing solo for the Legion of Los Angeles team, so it's going to be really interesting to see if this works out the same as it has in the past few races for the Legion of Los Angeles team. John Heinlein up next for the Project Echelon racing team. Watch out for this guy in a breakaway. Watched him solo away multiple times over the last few weeks. He is a diesel engine on the front for the Project Echelon racing team. They had a really good ride up at Tour of America's Dairyland as well, winning Downer Avenue. In fact, I think the last 3 days in a row they were able to win the stage, and so would not be surprised to see Project Echelon back up there as well. And then I love the Gateway jerseys this year. What an update. One of the coolest kits in the field, and they still have the very cool checkerboard sleeves, I guess. That's kind of a throwback for Gateway, but I really like this look. Very cool.
The peloton roll up to the start line as we get ready to kick off 60 laps of intensity and fast racing, as right now we are 1 minute out.
All right, riders getting their final instructions on the line as we are inside of 1 minute to race start. And Lauren, this is all the stuff that we talked about earlier. Very easy to ignore where the pit is, when free laps expire, how long we're racing for tonight, but you really got to make sure you're dialed in on this stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, we saw, unfortunately, a couple of crashes earlier in the women's race, and you got to know where the pit is because you got to stay calm, cool, and collective as a racer because you can't just burn those mental matches either. This is a long race. It's a hard race. I was just talking to Rachel, and hopefully we're going to get her up here in a minute and talk to her. And she's talking about it. It's just not easy, even though it looks like it is on TV.
Yeah, they make it look so easy, don't they? You made it look easy.
Thanks.
And then I get out and finally get on the bike, and it's like, this is not easy at all.
Pace car is ready.
All right, final checks underway. Pace car is rolling here on the line. So that means it's time to go racing. Final race of the evening here at the Sonny King Criterium Pro Men. As the sun sets on Noble Street in downtown Anniston, we are back to racing.
As our Sonny King Criterium for the Pro Men are underway.
Now these guys, because it's the final event of the night, they race 60 laps. We don't work on time for the last event of the day because we don't have any more races to fit in afterwards. These riders start from 60 laps to go and roll straight down from there.
Well, I guess you know what you're dealing with, and don't you?
Yeah.
Summerhill now.
All right, so very similar. They're going to try and get the early breaks going.
Looking on the bike racks to make the call up with. He wasn't listed on the bike racks list to be able for me to know that he was going to be here. So you just mentioned very fast runner, made a ton of money at Tour of America's Dairyland.
And we'll watch the early breaks try to establish here.
We will point him out.
Not much you can do early on here other than just try and stay out of trouble a little bit. Try and make sure that you don't get caught out. Don't have any situations early on that might affect your race. But other than that, I think you're doing maybe 10 laps of just kind of chilling before you get into the real work. Not that you can chill in a professional race like this. We're being joined by Rachel Langdon in the booth. Rachel, first of all, congratulations. 1 in 3 out there tonight. The lead out, the win. Doesn't get much better than that.
It doesn't get much better than that. We're so excited to represent the team that way.
It's been an awesome few weeks for you guys coming from Tour of America's Dairyland. Did you road trip down here after Dairyland?
Oh yeah, I have done 8,500 miles in the team van in a month.
Both of you driving? Or?
No, just me.
Really?
Yep.
Talk to me about the race out there tonight. A lot of breakaways. Seemed like CWA was trying to get things started all night. Did you ever get worried that a group might roll, or were you guys thinking it was going to be a field sprint tonight?
No. You know, with CWA having numbers up, we anticipated them launching the attacks, and we just wanted to be anything more than 3. We definitely wanted to be represented. It was a tough race and full gas, so we just stayed present and covered everything that we could.
Talk to me about dropping off Harriet into that last corner. It looked like at turn 2 you made one last surge to get up in front of her, get her where she wanted to be, and then held on for third. Did you realize that you might have a shot at the last podium spot even after you dropped her off, which seemed like basically out of the last corner?
Yeah, normally as a lead out, like, you go until you blow. And I came out of the last turn, and at that point, usually I'm so used to wheels coming around. And Harriet came around with a gap. I was like, oh man, she's winning the bike race. And then someone was sprinting me to the line, so I had to go all the way through and held on.
Talk to me a little bit about the lead-in into corner 3, because we were talking about Toad and using that as like daily practice of trying to perfect the lead-out and the numbers that CWA had.
Yeah, especially on a course that's this fast. At Toad, I was going a little bit too early and not quite making it fast enough for Harriet, so we wanted to be a little more patient tonight and jump into turn 3 and 4 and drop her off out of the turn, and it came together perfectly today.
Is there anything to the chicken wing? Or can you tell us?
So, she's going to kill me for saying this, but when she's working, she wears these glasses, and we call her Chicken Little. So I was like, man, if you do the chicken dance, if you win. That win was actually for my stepdad, who's having heart surgery on Wednesday. So it was really awesome and special to pull that off for him, since I can't be home.
Wow. Chicken Little. We won't tell her that you told us. I hope she doesn't watch the replay of this.
I really hope she doesn't.
I'm sure you guys will, back at the team house. But talk to me about what your season has been like overall. I mean, it doesn't get much better than what this summer has been like for you two.
I mean, the whole season, I'm so grateful for the team and the opportunities that we've had. I started the season in February in Turkey. We got to race in Belgium and Spain. And then the Canadians haven't been able to come into the US, so they dropped the team ban off for us and let the Brits have at the crits. So Brits on tour have been going pretty wild on the crits.
I love it. Brits and crits.
Yep.
Doesn't get much better than that. That's a hashtag right there if I've ever heard one. As long as it doesn't overtake Chicken Little, because I think that one could catch on as
Chicken
well.
Little first, Brits on tour second.
And we can't say what the third one is.
No, we can't.
No, but we'll save that for another show, another time. Rachel, congratulations on not only a great win tonight with Harriet, a great ride for you in third, but an amazing season so far here in the U.S. It's been a real pleasure watching you race
guys.
around
Thank
the country.
You so much.
What's next for you, Boise, Salt Lake?
We will be driving the team van to Boise, Idaho.
All right. Well, you better get driving. It's a long way to Boise from Anniston, Alabama. So
podium first, Champagne.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, make sure Harriet keeps her giant check, because Lauren, 2017 winner, still has hers, and that's like her favorite thing. So
I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, you win a crown, and she was like, a real crown? I was like, yes, a crown.
And all the best to your stepdad too.
I know. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Congratulations, Rachel. We'll see you on the podium in just a bit.
Thanks, guys.
Congrats. All right, I also saw Olivia Ray up here hitting the ATM for Rally. I'm going to see if we can grab a word with her, although she's got a handful of envelopes that she just picked up from Frankie Andrea. Those are going to be her preem winnings. Meanwhile, pro men still all together, coming up on 6 minutes in. Starting to get faster up on the front, but still no splits out there. And no preems on the line yet either, so we'll see if that starts to change the racing a little bit. All right, being joined now by the preem hunter herself, Olivia Ray. Can I borrow $100?
Yeah. You can borrow $1,600
Can you borrow? Can I borrow $1,600? Your total winnings out there tonight. First of all, huge ride for you. Was that the plan tonight? I mean, did you know that you were going preem hunting in Anniston, or did it just kind of happen as the numbers got bigger and bigger?
No. So about 8 weeks ago today, I broke my ankle. So even getting on the bike today was like pretty impressive. I don't know, I really wanted to win today, but I mean, I wasn't expecting anything, so I thought if I could go for the sprints, go for it, because that's what I can do. So here we go.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Tell me about the injury, the comeback from that. I mean, that's really tough to decide when it's time to come back to racing, but how did that decision come about?
So the doctor was like, okay, 3 months you'll be back racing. And I was like, no. So the first 2 weeks are pretty bad. Like I couldn't really walk, I couldn't do anything. And then about 3 weeks into it, I could spin, which was really lame. And then 4 weeks, I was getting a little bit more harder and harder. And a couple more weeks later, and here I am, doing sprints, all the workouts, and I can walk on it. Everything's perfectly fine. So
wow.
Super fast healing, which was really good.
And what we were seeing from your preem hunting sprints is like you didn't even have to get out of the saddle. You were still on the tops. So I mean, were you giving it 100% or was it?
For the $600 one for sure, and the last the final sprint got a little stuck in the little mix of girls, so that one didn't work out. But just happens.
We saw you at the back of the peloton, recovering and maybe having a conversation. Did you ask for any help at any point in time, or were you just chit-chatting back there? Or?
I mean, it was like I chatted to Paige from Butcher Box. I was like, just close the gap because you're getting tired trying to, tail gun the top during it. So I was like, just get in there, and it was just a nice time to see everyone again, basically.
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's been weird getting back to racing. I mean, I guess you had a longer break than everyone else, adding a little extra time off the bike, but does it feel good to get back to racing? I would say it feels pretty good with $1,600 in your pocket.
Oh, it does, yeah. I mean, it's weird coming from back in April, being in Spain and Belgium, doing a little bit of road racing, to now our races. It's a lot. It's easier in terms of fitness. You don't need as much, which has worked in my favor, but yeah, it was weird. I wasn't sure how to feel today.
And that's where you want to get back to, is back to Europe, back to the racing. And
yeah, so I've got a few more months to get back to that. I think next year is probably the aim, like January, February.
And have you talked to the girls over doing the Giro by any chance? I mean,
a little bit. They're all serious in the zone right now, but they're doing really well. Clara got 12 stage 2, so that's pretty awesome. And they're all moving up in the GC, so it's really awesome. Yeah.
I'll send them a picture of your money, make them jealous, and invite them to the Alabama Cycling Classic next year. I know.
Oh, yeah.
We'll probably be back at the Giro, but maybe you'll be at the Giro next year as well.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, after the Olympics, we'll have Lily and Emma joining us for the crit squad, so even more results probably.
Talk about a powerhouse squad. Hey, how about the jersey? Wearing the national champs jersey. That's got to be cool, representing here in the United States. You've raced a lot here, so this is kind of a crit home for you.
Yeah, it was really cool having been in the States for about 2 years and then coming back home to New Zealand and then racing it, doing it. I was really stressed out though the day before. I was like, if I don't win this, the last few years have been wasted. But no, it's really cool getting to wear it, and all of them were pretty happy that they could be represented over here because it's so big. So it's really cool.
Was that a goal for you? I mean, racing so many criteriums here in the U.S., did it become more and more of a goal as you started to become more and more of a crit racer?
Oh, for sure. I mean, back in 2017, I had no idea what I was doing, and
nobody did.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go to university in America, see what happens, and here we are doing bigger and better things, and couldn't be happier. Yeah, everything's going really well. Besides injury, but
besides the whole ankle thing, was it a broken ankle? How did it happen?
So it was a sprint stage at a 4-day race in Valencia, and just on a flat tailwind. There was a train of Canyon SRAM, Bike Exchange, and Movistar, and just some Spanish girls smashed into the front, and we all go down, about 35 of us, and sadly I was the only one with a broken bone. It was okay. I mean, it was a good learning experience, so can only go forward from here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're back, and one heck of a recovery. Sounds like you got through it pretty quickly, so welcome back to the bike, welcome back to racing, and congratulations on a great race tonight.
Thanks.
All right, Olivia Ray, your preem winner, I guess we'll call it, the highest paid rider in that women's field tonight, that's for sure. Congratulations, Olivia. All right, meanwhile, pro men, nothing doing out there on the front. Saw a couple attacks, saw a couple riders trying to roll away, but still single file up on the front. All the familiar faces up there, the usual suspects, if you will. We were going to try and grab a word with Olivia Ray, but she got whisked away by USADA before we could get to her.
Yeah, Harriet had such a good sprint there at the finish.
Harriet,
yeah.
Olivia.
I get where you're coming from. But yeah, it was, hey, you know what? When it's time to go handle your business, you got to do that.
Got to do it. We'll grab a word with her before the podium after the conclusion of this race, as she'll be back on the top step. Meanwhile, a little split happening here with what I think is Ruben Campagnoni taking a look around for the Best Buddies squad. And now it's starting to get a little dicey up on the front. Now they're starting to get into it here. Project Echelon has one up there. Gateway has one. Hot Tubes has one. And Best Buddies trying to get two. There's Magner from Legion. CS Velo at the front of the field.
It's like Eric Marcotte trying to come across.
Magner there as well, just keeping an eye on things. Yeah, that is Marcotte, the last neon jersey. Then comes Davey Dawson at the front for Automatic Racing.
And Best Buddies has added a rider. I feel like that's kind of the story of the men's peloton here in Anniston. I saw all these guys, all the Best Buddies over at Volvo earlier today, just getting a check-in. And here's this guy. I'm like, who are you? Turn around, it's Danny Summerhill.
You look familiar.
He said, hey man, how's it feel be back racing? And he says it's weird, it's odd. I think he's been on the bike maybe 3 weeks, it's been 3 weeks in the making of trying to get him back on the squad, I guess. So interesting ad.
Artem Schmidt taking a look on the front here for the Hot Tubes cycling team. This is another powerhouse squad. We talk about Legion being a powerhouse pro crit team. Hot Tubes is a powerhouse Devo team. I mean, how many national champions have we seen come through this program?
And the kids that come through this program, they have been around for years, and it's good to see them out here tonight representing.
Schmidt going to come back into the group here as Project Echelon's Stephen Vogel, I think, up on the front shuts it down. Saw Stephen take a win at the Armed Forces Cycling Classic a few weeks ago. Did it solo off the front. Held an 18-second gap for the last 10 laps. It didn't change. I mean, normally that like steadily goes down. Even posted up a lap early and didn't lose any time. Had a
that
early
usually
celebration.
doesn't happen. If you post up, that's game
usually
over.
It, but still held on. Super strong solo rider. He's also a doctor, telemedicine doctor. So like hours after winning, he was back in the white coat taking calls and making people feel better. Michael Hernandez is not making anybody feel good in this group as he attacks off the front here for Best Buddies Racing. Best Buddies, another team racing with a mission, working with the Best Buddies organization. I know they bring a lot of the buddies to the events. They get a chance to kind of meet the riders, come out, and they work with the local Best Buddies chapters in all the cities that they visit.
Well, that's great.
Best Buddies working with developmentally disabled individuals. And I even saw Michael Hernandez give his national championship medal to one of the buddies after winning one down in Florida.
Hey, that's special right there. Like Will Harden from Project Echelon trying to come across as well.
Riding an under 23 development team for a couple years with a Volvo, then aged himself out. Living in Florida, they started up the Best Buddies team. They do a fantastic work with the Best Buddies organization as they travel around the country.
Michael Hernandez always has a smile on his face when you see him. He just seems to be like such a happy guy doing what he loves, racing bikes. Now he's probably pretty happy being off the front right now.
He's got one thing on his mind. He is focused on trying to break away. You're looking for some help. See if 5 other riders or 4 other riders can get up there. But right now, it's a one-man mission as Hernandez is going up the road.
Hernandez committed to this one in a semi-aero tuck here. And then that's going to be Will Harden, as you said, trying to go across the gap here for Project Echelon, stringing this one out single file. Hernandez definitely wants to split this one.
Yeah, and Tom Magner also recognizing what's happening and coming across to Will.
Well, Magner, one of the former winners in this field from the Sunny King Criterium. Again, has we go a little further back, we see a lot of familiar names. Eric Young in 2019, John Murphy with you in 2017, Travis McCabe back in 2016, and then Ty Magner, our 2015 winner.
Had a good chat with Ty and his mom and dad. They're here also. A short drive for them. So again,
man, this is just like your setup in 2017. Parents are close by, easy drive.
Big checks.
Yep.
Yeah, when Michael came through the start-finish line, I saw him give a look back. You know, not a I'm going to sit up, but the look back of I'm going to keep rolling.
Yeah. What's the gap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope he gets some help here, because this would be a powerful engine to have with you in the group. The problem is, I think a lot of these guys are redlined already, just trying to stay at the front. It's like Nashville local cycling, maybe. Yeah, Jeremiah Stoller, number 133, trying to do the chase here.
Peter Olenichek sitting on his wheel.
Project Echelon, happy to see somebody else doing the work.
And Hernandez is doing this perfectly. I mean, steady, staying on the gas, keeping an eye on what's coming over his shoulder. At what point do you decide to wait for a rider coming up? I mean, what's the criteria to say, I'm going to slow up a little bit and let a bridge come? Do they have to have a gap already? Does it depend on the rider that's coming up? Are you looking for a group?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely looking for ones and twos coming across, and how I'm feeling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, he keeps coming through the start-finish line, head down, giving a look. He definitely wants somebody to come to him. He doesn't want to sit up and wait for anybody, because that just closes the gap back down and just takes away from everything he's been trying to do for these last couple of laps. So he'll just stay on, and it's up to these guys to come to him.
So Gateway, I see a Rockland Velo cycling jersey up there as well. Now, this was another new team to me until I saw Clever Martinez over the last, 3 weeks of racing. Venezuelan rider based out of New York with this Rockland Velo cycling squad. Won the overall at Tour of America's Dairyland. Super strong in Tulsa. Had a great ride in D.C. I got to be honest, had never heard of this guy until this year, but that's a name that you're going to want to know. If you're a Criterium racing fan, Clever Martinez, and I think he's got a shot tonight as well. And there he is. I'm not sure if that's Martinez or maybe his teammate, Will Goulian. And Hernandez already hitting the gels, 20 minutes in. I would think that was early, but I would say Michael Hernandez knows a thing or two more about bike racing than me. Talk to me about the nutrition. I mean, couldn't he have hit this gel before the start, or is it just trying to time it out perfectly?
Maybe just timing it out. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Hey, this is the good point. He's kind of put in quite the effort these last couple of laps. Take on a gel. Maybe this is the only one he's got. Make you feel a little bit better. And know that you're just going to keep rolling this out, or try to anyway.
So that is Clever Martinez up on the front. And we'll see if he tries to roll this one. Now, Martinez is a good sprinter. He can absolutely win out of a field sprint, so I'm not sure that he's super motivated for a breakaway as he watches this breakaway roll around him. I don't think Martinez wants a break tonight. I think he wants to sprint this out of the field because he's been on fire sprinting out of the group recently.
But it doesn't hurt to test your legs also.
Artem Schmidt is now on his third test of the day off the front here for Hot Tubes. He's got Johnny Purvis with him for the First Internet Bank cycling team. 4 riders for First Internet Bank here. There are multiple teams with somewhere between 4 and 5 riders. Project Echelon brings 6. Nashville Local Cycling brings 6. Gateway brings 5. First Internet Bank brings 4. And Best Buddies with 4 as well.
Artem is 17 years old.
That means junior gears.
Wow. And junior possibilities. Man, this kid's good.
Well, that's probably why this kid is on Hot Tubes.
Exactly.
I would say rides like this are...
Yep.
There are a lot of people out there that are watching this that are not surprised at all to see this kid off the front.
And you see these cracks right here in
the
turn
guys, it
3.
looks like they're even trying to lift the front wheel up a little bit.
A little bit of bunny hop just to save face and get over it. You know, you definitely don't want to pinch flat or anything through there right now.
Explain a pinch flat. What is that?
Yeah, so, you know, if you don't have enough air in your tires, these guys are running probably tubulars. They glue the tires on the wheel. And, you know, you run as little tire pressure as possible, but as much tire pressure as possible to be a very good rolling tire. You want the least amount of resistance. And so some of these potholes, if you hit it just right with the wheel, you can also destroy a wheel. I mean, these are carbon fiber wheels, and these guys are big guys. And so they're going to try and be as gentle as possible on these super nice, super light aerodynamic wheels as possible. So, yeah, you kind of want to avoid all the cracks and potholes as you can. But right there in turn 3, it's just not a great spot. It's like Danny Summerhill on the front. I wonder if he remembers it feeling like this when he used to race.
He's like, man, this got a lot harder.
Exactly. Let's see if Artem kind of rolls this out just like Michael Hernandez did, and if it just eventually run out of steam and nobody connects to you and it comes back. 45 laps to go.
Schmidt on a solo time trial here off the front. I mean, what else can you do? He's committed to the move. Gateway on the front of the field, followed by Best Buddies, then Rockland Velo. We'll start putting a clock on this and get some splits for these guys. It's 8 seconds right now, so that'll be our baseline. We'll see if that one grows or shrinks.
Artem's not even looking back at all.
No.
Fully committed. That's great. First internet bank coming across on top, trying to get that first line into the corner.
Schmidt based out of Georgia, so pretty close to home here. It's from Cumming, Georgia. I don't know where that is in Georgia.
I mean, I'm from the South, but I just don't know.
If only there was some sort of
something to show you with it.
International repository of location data that I could somehow find.
If only.
We talked about the riders using the borrowed bikes on Taylor Kirk White starting on a spare bike. There's a rider in this field riding on a cross bike in the yellow kit in here. You'll see Eric Thompson. He is about 15 wheels back, maybe. He's up here. He's got the two-tone specialized bike. He's in 11th place right there.
I mean, cross is coming, Brad. You never know.
You never know. You know what? On this course with the bumps here, you might want a little bit of extra clearance. You might want to put some 32s on there. These guys spreading out across the road.
So the gang's all together again.
These guys are going to use the opportunity for a little relaxation here, a little chill. See a lot of coasting back in the group, and you have to take those zeros on the power meter when you can get them. A good crit race, unless you're Artem Schmidt, I guess, on the front, should have a lot of dips down to zero in the power meter.
Yeah, it's always a race of who can just coast the most and then just have that one big effort. That's how you win a race. The least amount of watts possible for an hour.
It's not always the strongest rider.
No.
A lot of times it's the smartest rider. So they're going to be looking at 42 to go on the counter. A little conversation here between Hernandez and Marcotte. They got a plan here, and they're about to execute it. Hernandez going to go with this one. There was a very brief head nod saying, I got it.
Start ringing, Sarah. Start going at it. $200
Received. $200 preem on the line this time through. That's Thomas Gibbons, who came to Wisconsin preem hunting. So I would expect to see Gibbons go for a little bit of cash here for automatic racing.
Was he successful in the hunt?
He was. Yeah, he had a few. Also tried to get up there in the sprints, but seemed like he was mostly after the big preems.
Excellent job, Sarah.
I've enjoyed watching some of their YouTubes, kind of how the race played out. He usually has a GoPro on his bike and does a play-by-play. And even, you know, if it doesn't work out, I just appreciate them showing that content. Check it out.
I love the GoPro videos. It's amazing how good they've gotten. The stabilization has finally gotten to the point where it's a little more watchable. There were some GoPro videos from like the early 2000s that were like really shaky and bumpy and kind of hard to watch, but the editing has been getting better. I mean, it's awesome. It's so good to see so many of these riders creating content and sort of sharing their stories.
And getting the inside look of a peloton, of seeing how twitchy it is, how scary it is. It's tight. These guys are racing tight, and what we can't see from far away from this angle. But
and here we go, $200 on the line. I think that's going to be Martinez trying to lead it out up the middle. And then that might be Andy Crater from the Supra Functional Bars team. Not quite going to catch Artem Schmidt, though.
Wow. Guess he recovered pretty quickly from his solo move.
Guess he's doing all right. Well, the organizers here are frantically scrambling to find some sparkling cider to give to Artem Schmidt should he win out there tonight.
Artem, you can spray the beer, but you can't drink it.
Yeah. Vogel back on the front here, diving into the corners. Now this would be the guy that you want to go into a breakaway with, and I think Hernandez knows it. In fact, I wonder if that was the conversation between Hernandez and Marcotte. Like, hey, see this guy up here in the Project Echelon jersey? We want to go with him.
Yeah, stick his wheel.
Yep. And here goes Gateway. Oh, a nice cover from Project Echelon. Had one in the pocket here and used it perfectly with Brandon Feary.
And I wonder if you had Peter Vogel basically kind of setting a high pace specifically for knowing that there's going to be a counterattack and sending one of your riders, because they were sitting fourth, fifth wheel. Perfect spot to cover. Smart bike racing.
Yep. I think that's Campagnoni up there for Best Buddies now. Andy Crater starting to show his suffer face a little bit after going off for that preem. And a little rest on the downhill.
An assessment, the look around. Are we in a break? Or what's going on? What's everybody looking like?
Gibbons just keeping an eye on things up at the front. We talked about riders making it difficult for the commentators. Thomas Gibbons had a full beard when I last saw him like 4 days ago, and now he's freshly shaven, so.
Well, you know, we've talked to Sam Boardman. He's not allowed to shave his mustache.
No.
It's a keeper. Unfortunately, nobody's here except Ty Magner for Legion tonight. But I think he can definitely hold his own.
Yeah.
Tanner Ward of First Internet Bank trying to break away.
Little Rock, Arkansas. He can time trial. Tanner Ward gets up the road. He can time trial. He's a dangerous rider.
Very good rider. He's a strong rider. Looks like a rider possibly going into a pit. Having a great crowd. Huntley Nash going into the pit right
Ty Magner trying to come across now.
I think that's a First Internet Bank jersey. Rolling off the front.
Tomorrow is more bike racing. We're going to Piedmont for the Piedmont Criterium. Today in Anniston, Alabama for the Sunny King Criterium.
That's high. Come on, William!
All right, so these guys got a nice thing going up the road, and Martinez starting to realize it now as he's going to try and go across the gap. If this goes to 4, that is going to be a real problem for the guys back in the field. Tanner Ward and Ty Magner up there right now. And more riders coming to join them. So let's see who this is. Project Echelon and Best Buddies. And then comes Martinez, then Davey Dawson from Automatic Racing.
Looks like Hernandez from Best Buddies.
Best Buddies.
And pretty soon this elastic's going to snap. Nashville Local Cycling might be the last ones with a chance at a train ticket here. Martinez needs to get a clean break going here. Actually, Dawson might be able to do it. That's going to be a big group, though, if they make it. 2, 4, 6, might be 7. There's Martinez. He's going to get up to this duo of 2, and then Dawson's going to have trouble getting away from the field behind him. So I think Clever Martinez is going to be the last stop on the train here.
Tanner Ward, Ty Magner, we see the chase by Hernandez, Stephen Bogle, and Clever Martinez. Those 5 riders, they connect and they go up the road. This is Lights Out, Gateway Devo chasing hard.
Yeah, it's a danger along the south.
All right, so 2, 3, and then 2 more coming up. And as they get their break established, we're being joined in the booth by a man who helped make much of tonight possible, Jackson Hodges from Main Street Anniston, the new director of the Noble Street Festival and a big part of the changing face of downtown Anniston, Alabama. Jackson, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here on stage for the first time.
Hey, it's great to be here. Every day above ground's a good one. You know, I have to say, first off, we have a great team. On the festival side of things, we had Carla Eden, our Main Street event coordinator, who came through planning the festival. And then Marilyn is an extremely talented professional when it comes to bringing together this many moving pieces. We're super thankful for her. I think this has been a great festival, extremely good turnout, and we appreciate you guys for manning the booth, so thank you so much.
Just turned the street lights on here in downtown Anniston,
Yes.
so good job on that, Jackson.
Thank you, absolutely, yes. I have the power over the street lights and other municipal resources here in town. But no, we put a lot of hard work went into this year's festival. We took it the extra mile over the course of the last week. We were pressure washing the streets, coming out here during the workday, Monday through Friday, when we had the extra time to clean the streets out and take pride in our hometown. So we know over time, together, teamwork will make the dream work, and it's going to be events like these bringing people down here that make the difference.
We talked about the Anniston Changers. You guys literally power washed downtown, making it more beautiful. And then we also are going to talk a lot tonight about the Noble Street Festival. I know this is a big part of the bike race tonight. It's really a festival that hosts a bike race instead of a bike race that hosts a festival. We had games, we had rides. I saw a tank down there at one point. There you go.
Exactly.
I mean, doesn't get much better than this. Talk to me about the Noble Street Festival. This is the biggest that we've ever seen it.
We appreciate it. We really did put a lot of effort. This is the 19th year of the festival, so we're looking forward to the 20th next year. But we had great allies out there in the vendor field. We had Combat Park supporting Wounded Warriors, an in-kind sponsor who came out with their tanks and their paintball. We had Mr. Dan's Plumbing, who created cooling stations because we knew it was going to be hot, and we had to help keep people cool. So we appreciate our community partners, and the list goes on and on. From the amount of amusement rides we had to the number of vendors. I think we had 65, which shattered our records before. So, again, there are many people that make this happen throughout the city and with Maryland's team as well. So we're thankful, and I really think we drew in a great crowd, showed everyone what Anniston can do, and, you know, the festival and the race, they go hand in hand. And as I said, one of my favorite phrases, teamwork makes the dream work. And so I really thought we were in sync today, and it showed.
In bike racing and in city planning. Talk to me about Main Street Anniston. I've seen some signs around some new developments here downtown. What is Main Street Anniston all about? What are you guys trying to do here?
Absolutely. So Main Street Anniston, I'm tasked with the development of the area. And then my partner, Carla Eden, she handles the events. And it's through the combination of those two things that we're going to bring revitalization to this area. We've made a lot of good maneuvers here in the last couple of months, really getting out here and doing the hard work of cleaning it up. But we've started a 5-year strategic plan just for downtown. I think this is a tremendous resource we have, whether it be the buildings or the architecture. And so we're putting plans in place to make sure that we have facade grants and assistance, but that we're out here, we're visible, we're easily to communicate with, to get information from, to help business owners start their companies. And so, you know, as I always tell people when I go live for the city of Anniston, my name is Jackson Hodges. My number is 256-846-2044. And please contact me anytime with any questions you may have about our Main Street.
Well, we got about 50,000 of our friends listening right now, so I hope that your phone starts blowing up here.
Oh, please do. The citizens of Anniston love calling that number, and I will be happy to help you. But yes, we're just thrilled. This is so exciting. So much has gone into this. We were here at 5:30 this morning. I know everyone was working really hard, and I just appreciate it. Again, it certainly shouldn't be about me. It should certainly be about everyone who helped us do this, because it was a total team effort, and I couldn't be more thankful for the team that we do have.
Hey, last question. Talk to me about plans for the future. Are we going back to April, maybe May? Do we plan on staying on July 4th? I know it's been hot out here.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you, next year's the 20th.
Yeah.
Big 2-0.
Okay.
So we're going to have to do something special. I'm not quite sure what that may be yet, but if you enjoyed this year's, next year, we're going to kick it up to 11. If this was a 10, we're going to take it to 11. And I know with Carla and Marilyn's help and everybody, we can make that happen. I'm thinking it may be back in April just based off the race schedule, but we'll see how things unfold. And in between now and then, we're going to be working hard on our strategic plan to get investment and life back down here in downtown. And I think we've already had a lot of wins here recently. So.
I love it. 20 years here in Anniston. I feel like a local resident. I'm going to have to start paying taxes if I hang out here anymore.
Come on down. I can take you to all the best barbecue places.
We're going to spend a lot of time here in Anniston. We're very lucky to be able to do it. So, Jackson, thank you for being here, and thank you for all you're doing to make this beautiful town even more beautiful, and thanks for hosting us.
Anniston is the best city in the United States of America, Model City, USA, and thank you guys for having us. I hope you have a blessed rest of the night.
Thank you very much, Jackson. So they call it the Model City here in Anniston, Alabama. And you can see why. Really a perfect downtown for a good old-fashioned American bike race like this.
And I meant to tell him thank you for making today's weather absolutely perfect.
Totally perfect.
Couldn't ask for a better day of racing.
Meanwhile, Gateway rolling off the front here with one. That is going to be Hugo Scala, number 121, taking a look off the front here at 33 laps to go on the counter.
Those Gateway development jerseys are throwing me off because of the checker pattern. And on the TV, it almost looks like stars and stripes. And also, I'm used to the Gateway development team being orange, having that orange, kind of orange and black.
So Scala Jr. going to get some company here from First Internet Bank.
You know, you got to wonder if it's going to be a lot like the women's race. You know, people are trying all these great attacks, and again, what we saw all day was that these small breaks stayed away, and these 1s and 2s were successful, and then not so much in the pro women's peloton. It came back. What are we going to see tonight? I mean, they're trying.
Yeah, I'm worried that this group is too small, that they might need more than 2 to make this work.
Especially with hitters like Project Echelon and Best Buddies back there just kind of manning it.
The deep teams are, I think, what you really start to worry about here. CWA showed us that in the women's race. I mean, if you know how to use those numbers, it can be deadly out there.
One thing about Dave you'll notice when he comes through, he's got that straight 1970s mustache on the front with those white glasses. Got the mustache clean out.
Project Echelon making a run for this break. Best Buddies on their wheel. He's putting a heck of a digger. Peter Olenichek had a water bottle in his back pocket.
Wow. Came to fight today.
I guess so.
Maybe, would that be like a drink mix? Do you have like is there an energy drink that you put in the bottle?
I can't imagine. I mean, you've got 2 water bottle cages on your bike. I'm not quite sure why you'd have one in your back pocket if it's not that hot out here. So I couldn't explain that one for you, Brad.
Yeah. We'll see if we can figure out what's going on in Peter Olenichek's back pocket. Well, 4 up the road, 1 trying to go. I know we saw Peter Olenichek in there. I think Tanner Ward is also in the mix for First Internet Bank. Ruben Campagnoni is going to be 3rd wheel here for Best Buddies. And then Hugo Scala Jr. for Gateway. So it was 2, now 4. And now we're starting to get into viable territory for this breakaway.
I was thinking about Brandon Ferry earlier because he'd been hiding kind of in the back third of the race, but I think he has made this change. Let's see who that rider is.
Some riders coming in from the pit. And meanwhile, one of the Nashville local riders, Jeremiah Stoller, trying to go across the gap. Number 133, trying to add to the breakaway here.
We got a CS Bello on the front, trying to keep the pace up and not wanting this break to grow out anymore.
Yep.
Ruben Campagnoni is the rider in the bright green jersey. Just behind him was Peter Olenichek, a very strong time trial that we had talked about earlier. And then also in that group is Jared Oldham from First Internet Bank. So 3 riders and more riders starting to come across. Critical time right now. The riders starting to raise their arms. They're calling for help. The fatigue's starting to set in and their cracks are starting to form.
Close to this break.
Yes, Stoller might make it up here this lap. Crowd getting behind Jeremiah Stoller, trying to get him into the breakaway.
Look at the peloton, though, all strung out. That means somebody's really giving it for this to come back.
Yep. And it looks like Best Buddies up there. So I guess a breakaway was not in the cards tonight for Ruben Campagnoni.
Well, now it's just this massive one line and these splits all through the peloton.
I'm surprised to see Hernandez on the tackle, moving up the road. Travieso instantly responded.
Not really quite sure why Hernandez put in such a big dig right there. I mean, he's got a rider up there. Maybe that's not the break that they want.
Yeah,
doesn't
they
have the numbers.
Must be trying to shut it down. I guess Campagnoni's not going to work here. Maybe he was just trying to go across the gap, and it didn't work out.
I'm going to think maybe they didn't like the numbers.
Yeah.
And here it is, it's back. At least you've gotten everybody close enough for a counterattack. This looks like Marcotte kind of attaching onto Ty Magner back there.
Yeah, call it mission accomplished, because they successfully shut this one down. That's got to be frustrating for those 4 guys, because they had it. I mean, if there was ever a time to roll a breakaway, this would be it. 29 laps to go on the counter.
And Ruben kind of sat up thinking, hey, well, let's keep going. Why are we stopping? And then he realizes the whole peloton was back there, and he's like, this is why.
Yep.
First Internet Bank going again. Tanner Ward. Eric Marcotte on his wheel.
Marcotte on the wheel. Gateway being forced to chase. The Gateway team, First Internet Bank and Best Buddies been putting Project Echelon on the back foot. It's just kind of surprising when you watch America's Dairyland what Project Echelon.
We haven't even talked about a lot of these riders halfway back. I mean, I think there are a lot of riders that are just going to sit in and let this one play out tonight. Let it kind of roll through, see what happens, see how things go, and then start to play the cards.
That's the thing, is a lot of these teams kind of look at each other and start attacking each other, like Best Buddies, like Project Echelon, like First Internet Bank. And there's the ones and twos back there that are just hiding and hoping that it comes back together. They kind of lose sight of those riders.
Yep.
And if they can have the one ditch attack that stays away, you just never know. So, yeah, we'll see who comes out of the fold.
What everybody's going to do. A very strong rider, but also a very smart rider. Tactically, he's savvy. And Eric Marcotte, the rider sitting in the bright green jersey, has been a professional road race champion and a professional Criterium champion.
Gateway's on the attack again. First thing that bank is covering that. Looks like Hugo Scala on the attack again.
Gateway Devo rider, Hugo Scala.
The one thing about this course that
I'm loving the aggressiveness of this race. I mean, it is just one attack after another, Brad. There's no rest for the wicked.
Yeah, and it seems like we're seeing a lot of the same guys. Hernandez back up there. Project Echelon this time gets Hayden Strong into the mix. Now, I've been calling Hayden Strong a sprinter up until 2 weeks ago at Tour of America's Dairyland. I was calling him the Kiwi Cannonball out of New Zealand. The guy is about as wide as he is tall. When he gets down into this tuck, he's just like super arrow, and he can shoot like right through a group. He just has really good bike handling skills. But he's been riding a lot of breakaways and kind of changing his tune, I guess, changing his position on the trading card. Maybe you go from a sprinter to an all-rounder or a breakaway rider.
Yeah, I never really like to just be called one discipline, one specialty. I liked kind of being more of an all-arounder because there are different courses that suit you, and maybe he has been the sprinter or just been able to have the legs. But yeah, when somebody can kind of stretch out and gain some more experience and get out there, and you kind of change that dynamic of who you are.
Yep. Davey Dawson getting up to the front now for Automatic Racing, the teammate of Thomas Gibbons, as Hernandez tries to roll it through the line here with a new group of 5.
Flicks the elbow, asks Gateway Devo to come through.
there's no doubt about it. He is a fast finisher in a lot of races, but he wants a small group to sprint from. He does not want to sprint from this field of this hill.
Well, Lauren, you were talking earlier about some of the onboard footage that we've had from the riders. I want to show some video real quick from Wide Angle Podium. This is on board with Thomas Gibbons. They've been hosting some of his breakdowns on their website, on the blog there, and this is a guy that you want to watch because Gibbons is a great bike handler. He goes to a lot of the top races in the country, and it's just really cool to see this onboard footage.
And again, the honesty that he gives of, they've mucked up the lead out, or he's moving through the peloton, and how he uses the flow of moving through the corners. It's just pretty neat to see the inside scoop and how it plays out in his brain, or how he thinks it's playing out. And it's good. It's fun to see. This is what we need to see more of.
Yeah, there are so many insights that we never get from riders, and I guess the addition of the GoPro videos, we're starting to see more stuff that we would have never seen before. Even when we started to get more live streams at events, it's always just like, as a stage announcer, I would see him on the start-finish stretch, and then I would have no idea what happened on the backside of the course. So unless you catch the riders afterwards, you talk to them in the hotel, you see them at the restaurant after, whatever it is, you had no idea what was happening. And then we started adding live stream, and now we're getting these awesome onboard videos, and they're learning how to edit and learning how to do this production as well. People like Wide Angle Podium, that crew is helping to sort of give a platform to a lot more riders so that they can get their content out there.
And their sponsors, and the sponsors
That's right.
love that.
That's right.
That's half the battle.
All right, so these guys looking good.
I saw when Hayden was pulling through, he just had a grimace on his face. I mean, so they're not just rolling through easy right here. They're giving it full gas.
Hayden Strong, a former collegiate rider, raced at Marion University. maybe the most dominant collegiate program in the United States as a whole over the last, I don't know, 5 years, but I will say we've been seeing a lot more programs come onto the scene, which is good to see.
I was going to say Durango, Colorado has Fort Lewis now.
Yep. You can't discount the Skyhawks.
I can tell you I've tried to ride with those athletes. They were nice enough to wait for me plenty in that 2-hour ride. But, yeah, what great athletes. And what an avenue to race your bike in college, no matter where you go.
Yeah, it goes to show you. I mean, you don't have to give up that collegiate quest if you want to keep racing your bike. And
get an education.
Yep.
This is, like, the biggest break, most established break we've seen all night.
Yeah. Hernandez, Purvis, Slosar, Kilauea.
Like I said, Hayden's really struggling.
But on the front, Hugo Scala Jr. continues to push the pace.
So we said Slosar. I think that should be Hayden Strong. And then Ty Magner is having to chase this himself at the front of the field. Now, Ty's not afraid to chase. I mean, he's a sprinter. He's a winner for sure. But if he's got a Legion teammate in the race, Ty's not afraid to do the work. But no Legion teammates here. So I guess the plan is this is a good-looking breakaway. I don't want this one to go. Ty's been in plenty of races here in Anniston that have had a group either lap the field or stay away all night. And so he might be having some flashbacks of past years where he may have missed the breakaway.
Control the field. I don't think he can stop himself from doing it. Look at this one, he's like, now like 10 seconds,
He's definitely strung out the field.
Oh, man. Yeah, there are about a half dozen guys that are about to have their race ended on the back of this one.
Just trying to follow Ty.
Yeah. And Magner almost single-handedly tacking this one back. The solo Legion of Los Angeles rider.
If that doesn't give you an idea of how strong their team is, I don't know what does. One man pulling these guys back.
Scala and Ward still up on the front. They're going to try and make the best of this, even though they're being brought back. And these guys are the ones you have to watch at the back. Look at those huge gaps starting to open up. It only takes about 3 seconds off the back, and that's pretty much it for you at these speeds on a night like tonight.
Day over for sure.
Yeah, look at these guys. They're done over here. Good thing that guy's got the GoPro on the front tonight.
He was really hoping that Best Buddies wasn't going to put in another attack quite yet.
There's nothing more confident than putting a rear-facing GoPro on your bike for a race. I mean,
you can edit this out.
Well. And yeah, these guys, I think he's even stopping the Garmin. He's like, how do I get home? Get me out of here. It's going to be Nick Luther wrapping up out there out of Greenville, South Carolina.
Live to fight another day.
And Tanner Ward going again. This guy's been on fire tonight for the First Internet Bank cycling team. Remember, Ward was in that initial breakaway, and this was almost the exact same breakaway forming, just with Ty Magner added in.
Peter Olenichek, second wheel.
Campagnoni is the Best Buddies rider up there.
Is that
Echelon has 2. Clever Martinez wants to go. He's going to make it up to the party. Artem Schmidt is in there. And here goes Schmidt again.
Brian Funston have a little bit of fun as he comes through.
Oh, man, this is dangerous right here. Now, these are big numbers in the breakaway. They're looking at 23 laps to go when they come through the line here. And these guys got to know it right now. At this point, like this, I would think is the moment where you're like, this might be it.
If these 3 on the back can connect,
yep.
It's 8 riders together. This could be dangerous.
Tanner Ward as well. You got Aaron Schmidt in there, and you got Clever Martinez.
And now these guys just need to keep working together. Just keep rolling it. Don't start playing any games. Don't get clever here. Well, Clever Martinez, the rider.
And I'm pretty sure, guess who I saw on the front? Ty Magner.
Yeah. How did Magner miss this? He was right there.
Hoping somebody else was going to close it.
And maybe he thought there were too many guys and it was going to shut down. But, man, he single-handedly brought this back on the front for Legion. Yeah. Automatic has missed it. They're on the front of the field with what I think is going to be either Dawson or maybe Gibbons. And you can see it's getting dark out there now.
Once again, big thank you to our Paystars, Sunny King Automotive Group, longtime sponsor, Sunny King Ford.
So that's Olenicek pulling off. Martinez up next. That's him with the blue helmet, followed by Campagnoni in the green jersey of Best Buddies Racing. And I think that's still Hugo Scala for Gateway Devo. Well, Gateway. And that's going to take these guys down to 21 to go when they hit the line.
Strung out.
This is motivated right here. This is go time. Real hard to Pierre Olczyk, but the front. Gibbons is on the front.
Thomas Gibbons on the front.
Oh, all right. Well, that tells you he's getting worried.
I do not like the look of this.
When a sprinter goes to the front and kind of exposes himself like that, yeah, you definitely know. He wants that back right now.
There you go.
Two riders there are Will Harden and Peter Olenicek. Then we have Frank Travieso, who we talked about, a previous winner of this exact race, and Clever Martinez, Blackwood Cycling, coming off a great race at Tour of America's Dairyland where he won the overall. Very fast sprinter from Venezuela.
All right, hold on to 10 seconds here for this group of 8. Again, looking at Campagnoni, Schmidt, McDonald up on the front.
So Thomas Gibbons took a humongous
And there might even be some more on the way up.
and then basically exploded. Sending Markov. That's Eric
Yeah, look at this. Guys coming across the gap here. They're going to add 2 more at the back, and that's going to open the door for even more behind him. So now it's 12. Magner made it up. Last guy in. They just came through the line where we are here. So pretty soon, this is just going to be a split in the field rather than a breakaway.
There's a group of 4 kind of off the front.
This group now might be too big.
Exactly.
Look at that face.
Must be a little bit too big for Gateway Devo for the 1, so they're going to try and bring another across. Unfortunately, it's going to bring a whole slew of people with him.
This race is completely falling apart right now. I guess we'll just call it 3 groups: break, chase, and then the field.
Yep.
Which was 2 groups that have formed into 1. Then you have this chase group getting ready to come up. So in a way, it's almost 3 groups forming into 1 massive breakaway, which really you could say is a split of the peloton. Yeah, if you guys take
These chasers, I think, are going to get up there. So that's going to make 5 bridging the gap.
2 Project Echelon. That's going to be dangerous.
Yep, that's going to be 4 Project Echelon. 3 Best Buddies will be up there.
CS Bello on the back of that group of 4 or 5.
He's missed out on this entire move once again. They're about to connect up once
Group of 3 trying to go off the front.
Yeah, these guys are realizing what's happening. And I think that is Frank Travieso up on the front. Yeah, it is. Travieso, Campagnoni, and, Clever Martinez. All right, here we go. 3 really strong guys up the road right now, splitting out of a group of what was 8, became 12, and now back down to 3 off the front as they split that group that became 12, and I think even went bigger than that. And now Project Echelon going to send one up to cover, try and get 4 going here. Shuffle and reshuffle out there tonight.
And actually, he can pace himself because he talked about that time trial that he did at national championships. A fantastic ride.
See who this is tacking onto the back.
Could he be the last rider to latch onto these guys?
Might be Brandon Fury. We'll see as they come across the line here. And now they start working together. So that's Travieso on the front, the dark jersey there. Then comes Campagnoni in the Neon Best Buddies kit. Followed by Clever Martinez, the dark blue and white. Lachlan Vela.
Well, that's what I was about to say. If you get caught on the back foot and you have to weld and weld and weld, you are going to get
You're right on Brandon Fury.
Yep, so that's going to be 102, Ruben Campagnoni. 113, Frank Travieso.
Then poor Gateway's on the front again.
Yep.
The back track because they missed it.
Brandon Fury wearing number 136. And then Campagnoni for the Best Buddies team wearing number 102. Is that water?
That may have been snot.
Wow.
You got Artem Schmidt on the front. Jason trying to weld this thing back together.
These guys all kind of looking at each other, saying, "Hey, what? You know, we're gonna roll this out. How you looking?
How you feeling?
Yeah.
No, how you feeling?
After all of that, these last couple of laps, that was intense. See if it settles down a bit, or if it just keeps rolling out like this.
So many vendors, so many artists, the food trucks, the beer trucks, everybody was out here all over North.
All right, so Campagnoni, Travieso, Fury, Martinez, your 4 here. I like this break. I've liked every break that's gone, though, so who am I to talk? What do I know? I just like breakaways. I just like bike racing. I'm just happy that we're all here together.
Well, Artem doesn't like it, so he's going to go for it and try and come across. Ty Magner on his wheel.
Yeah. What a ride tonight for Schmidt. Some early strength, showing a solo move off the front.
Making it look easy. He's just turning the pedals over. High RPM.
And Schmidt might be responsible for bringing back a pretty significant chunk of time up to these guys.
Holding just at about 5 seconds. So feel free, take out your stopwatches, take out
This
your
one
phone time.
not growing and not shrinking. Here's Hernandez trying to come across the gap now. Second Best Buddies rider, trying to give some reinforcements to Ruben Campagnoni. Got away here. He got the riders off his wheel. Ty Magner is there, and then Magner's going to bring one of the Project Echelon riders with him. As Clever Martinez hits the front.
Best Buddies definitely wants to stack the break, which is going to be hard to do.
Hernandez trying to be able to go across, trying to be able to have numbers. Ruben Campagnoni and Michael Hernandez there. Ty Magner starting to be able to come across. Looks like a national local. No, I'm not sure who's outside that.
Project Echelon rider on the wheel there.
So there you go. Hernandez made it in.
Martinez and Travieso against Ruben.
That could be, and then also Project Echelon.
So call it 5. Magner would be 6.
Ty's definitely feeling the urgency to get across to this, especially if Best Buddies get to the front.
Oh, look at this. Travieso grinding his teeth on the front. Big pull here from Frank the Tank. Oh.
You see, it's not even, it's almost like not breakaways happening. It's just going so hard that people are just splitting the peloton.
He had a big dig, and he was on the back of the field as they came through the start line with giant gaps in front of him.
Well, Thomas Stevens gradually is getting a little bit bigger. When I was talking to him about 2020, he actually took a couple times during the year 3 months off. He actually didn't start training for 2021 until March. So he got a very late start to training, and then so he's gradually building himself back up and trying to be able to get fit.
I saw him. He was in Greenville.
Martinez looking over the shoulder here. Look, I think he's looking for a reset now. He's like, all right, guys, let's just sit up a little bit here and talk about what's going on.
I think when Best Buddies is trying to stack the break like that, nobody's going to want them to do that. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Martinez knows he's going to get worked over by Best Buddies or Project Echelon all night. I mean, here's a good setup, though. If you can get them isolated, you're in a good spot.
And this is the only Pro Road Tour crit on the ground in the Southeast this year. That's Hernandez on the move. This group has grown. National Local Cycling made a connection.
You know, the other thing, not a lot of preems in this men's race yet. They really stacked the women's field heavy. I like that. Glad we got the cash out to the women's field.
I wonder if it'd be a different race if there was a lot of preems. But, you know, hey, these guys have just been on the attack all night.
Yeah. I think this field's thinking about packing up and going home. Magner a little bit further back there. Now let's see which Best Buddies rider this is. That's going to be Michael Hernandez again. Now remember, we saw Hernandez do this like 30 minutes ago. And now at 15 laps of racing remaining, Hernandez is going to try and solo this one off the front.
Yeah, and it almost seems like he's going the same effort, the same amount of power, and it's like everybody else has gotten more tired and they're going slower. Because Hernandez does not look like he's going any slower. He's flying out there right now. Trying to be able to stay.
And if I got to look right, that looked like that was Tanner Ward kind of in no man's land right there.
I think you're right. Now again, this is the age-old question. Do you wait? How long do you wait? How much do you wait?
Mike Hernandez, 14 laps to go. Lap cars are up, 14 laps to go, 14 laps to go. Time gap sitting
Now
right
showing
below.
14 to go. Boy, this might be the move of the night from Michael Hernandez if this works out. And Tanner Ward also realizing that he's in a pretty good spot here.
Tanner's not looking near as good as Hernandez, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is all in for Michael Hernandez.
Exactly.
He's got one card to play tonight, and he's playing it in this move right here. I got to think the same for Tanner Ward. I don't know if you come back from an effort like this.
Virtual racing was very, very popular. A lot of people doing virtual racing. They also had a World Championship, the UCI Virtual World Championship. Tanner Ward won the qualifying race.
Hernandez dumping out a little bit of water there as well.
Full commitment.
Yeah. So it looks like he's waiting up just a little bit for Tanner Ward. So we'll make this two. Hernandez and Ward, now your two leaders off the front here, holding on to a roughly 8-second gap. We'll see if that changes.
And Michael will give Tanner just a second to sit back there, and then he's going to flick an elbow and say, hey, you're here, come on. To see the effort that Hernandez is putting out, his head shaking, his shoulders are shaking. He's fully committed to this. Normally, when you're in control, you're keeping your upper body as still as possible. That means he is just all in.
Whoever sees the danger that's going on with 13 laps to go. Tanner Ward, Michael Hernandez rotating, working well together. Trevor Martinez trying to come across.
All right, so straight to work for these two. I wonder if Ward gets a pass here to maybe sit up a little bit. I think Tanner Ward's going to be pretty much expected to do work here.
Yeah, and he's pulled through already and doing his fair share. I mean, Michael didn't even have to give an elbow. He knew when to come through. So Hernandez may be doing a little bit more work, but
for 4 or 5 laps, we're going to bring back Hernandez and Tanner Ward. So for Best Buddies and Project Echelon, this is looking like a great ride.
And the only teams that really can chase this back to this point are going to be Project Echelon or Gateway Devo.
Yeah, the big teams are going to have to get organized here. I think that's the only way that this one comes back. If we see a concerted effort on the front from some of these bigger squads, but that is not what we're seeing here at all. Look at these gaps.
especially at 12 laps to go. I mean, we're at the end of the race here. I'm going to guess that's, yep, Project Echelon at the front.
They got Artem Schmidt helping them out. an honorary Project Echelon rider for the next 12 laps because they both got the same goal of trying to bring these two guys back. So did these guys pull off the greatest break upset of the day here at the Sunny King Crit?
Well, they definitely have given it an honest try for this entire race, just constant attacking from these teams. So this is the one that sticks. I wouldn't be surprised.
So this corner right here, you see these two guys leading through. They got to be really careful here on the front. I know you remember 2019, we had that wipeout from Danny Summerhill. He overcooked that corner when he was on the front trying to go across, and it almost just happened again right there. I hope I'm not jinxing these guys, but it can happen. You just kind of lose your attention a little bit. You lose that just little bit of a span.
That was a heck of a save from Hernandez right there. I mean, you could have said that at a more perfect time, or he couldn't have done that at a more perfect time. What a save.
Let's go back and watch the 2019 crash as they roll through the line here. Again, Danny Summerhill was trying to go across the gap, and this is what happened. Watch this. Diving into the corner, and then we cut right when he went down, whoop, into the fence. He was all right, just a little bit disappointed.
A little,
but
just a little.
You got to be careful out there, that's for sure.
I'm sure he would like to forget that one.
And here we go, Ward taking on a gel here. You're going to need this at 11 laps to go. And this was last lap. Look at the way Ward leads into it. Oh, and Hernandez, great save. Lost the rear wheel. What do you do? I mean, is there a strategy there? Do you want to keep pedaling through? How do you deal with that?
So what he did is he kind of clipped his pedal so it almost takes your weight off the wheel. So that's why it slid out. And so you kind of want to keep that weight off still and almost stand up and kind of, I don't know how you do this in like split seconds, but you almost kind of counter steer it a bit, just a second, just to get your weight back on top of that wheel. And yeah, you can save it. It happens a lot in the rain as well. You don't see it near as much, or it's a smaller movement, but as a good rider, it definitely happens
sort
to
of
us.
let the wheel settle beneath you and
Exactly.
then let it go where it wants to go.
You kind of just stand on the pedals just a little bit. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. Well, it's even harder to do.
Yeah, let's just not do it. How about that?
I like that. Let's leave it up to these guys.
Yeah.
All right, we are down to 10 laps to go on the counter here as they roll through the line. And gap at 19 seconds here as they roll through. That is a great gap for two guys to have here at 10 laps to go. Let's see which Project Echelon rider this is trying to go across. Schmidt gonna go with them. Travieso wants a piece of the action as well. Not over yet.
And you know who we haven't seen these last couple laps towards the front of the race that we did see when all these brakes were closed back down? Ty Magner.
Yeah. Yep.
I wonder. I wonder.
They're going to have three. Travieso and Schmidt look back at the same time. And Michael Hernandez looks good, doesn't he? He looks like he's still got some left in the tank, the way that he's riding here.
It looks like he just doesn't have any quit, that's for sure.
Yeah. This man is driven by 20% leg and 80% effort out there right now.
That is a significant gap, Brad. I mean, they're around the corner, and the peloton hasn't even come through the start-finish. Just now.
Yeah, that gap's going up. That's trending in the wrong direction if you're in the field.
Okay, I did see Ty back in the field. I guess he's like, you know what? I'm not bringing these back anymore.
Yep.
Time gap being reported at 19 seconds. 19 seconds, and yeah. Frank Travieso, so it is. It's a lot of individuals. Artem Schmidt here by himself. Frank Travieso here by himself. Ty Magner here by himself.
And they're saying 19 seconds, the new time gap here on the line.
But many of these riders here, they don't have a lot of help. And so right now,
to call this one gone.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean,
As the chief jinxer of breakaways tonight at the Alabama Cycling Classic, I'm willing to say that this break is gone for good.
The fight in the peloton, you just don't see it like we did these last couple of laps.
I wish I could ride my bike half as hard as Michael Hernandez is tonight. I can barely get myself out of bed before 7 a.m. And now Hernandez starting to look for a little bit of help. He doesn't need it. Field is moving noticeably slower than those guys as they roll through the line. I mean, we can visibly see that that break is moving at a higher speed.
And that's Stephen Bogle on the front. So, I mean, if anybody can bring these guys back, it'd be him.
Gap up to 25 this time.
And not that it's all on him to do it, but Best Buddy's sitting on his wheel, definitely going to discourage anything from pulling through and helping him.
Evan Bossbacher, Brody McDonald, Hugo Scala Jr., and Keelan Ontiveros. And so these are riders that can actually ride on the front, but starting to run out of time, aren't they? I mean, they're starting to like not have enough laps to be able to bring back our leaders.
Well, yeah, and you've got, like you mentioned before, you had Danny Summerhill on the front there.
You can really see how wide open this backstretch is. It seems to get longer and longer every time as you come through. And same thing on the start-finish stretch. That hill, I have to imagine you start feeling it right now.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking about this corner that Hernandez slipped his wheel, and if that gives him any pause going into the finish. I mean, because these guys are going to be going faster and faster.
Yep.
Especially that corner. I mean, when it counts, it's in the back of your mind, even though he's rolled through it so many more times now. But it's there. It's still fresh. But, yeah, I hope he can put it past him.
All right, we're going to bring it down. $200 green to the field. $200 green to the field. $200 green to the field.
And they're bringing up a field cream here for $200 cash for the field. Breakaway not eligible here, but I gotta think this field is more concerned with what's going on up the road.
Oh, for sure.
You're not gonna throw Project Echelon off the scent here for $200. And look at Ruben Campagnoni right up there. Actually, that might have been Marcotte, maybe?
It seems like Project Echelon is leaving one guy in the pocket, so hoping that they can bring it back and he can have fresh legs for the sprint if it comes back. Which is hard to do as that person sitting back there and watching those guys do that work. It's tough because you want to be up there, you want to bring it back for the team and know that you're going to be there for the sprint. And you can't do everything, so when you're on patrol, that's what you do, and when you're the sprinter, you sit in.
It's like watching our Sparklight live stream crew out running around, plugging in cables, and all day, early in the morning. You just want to get out there and help them, but I have no idea how any of that stuff works. So I just carry the heavy stuff when I can. Try and do what I can to help out.
I would tear something up, so I'm going to stay out of the way. See Ty Magner kind of moving back up to the front. We were wondering about him earlier.
Yep. Well, he's still there. Little throw from Eric Marcotte, looking for the 200 cash. I think he got it.
Best Buddies is just covering the front now.
Yep.
That'll definitely deter Project Echelon and take the wind out of their sails a bit, especially when Marcotte kind of does a bike throw for the preem as well.
Gap up to 22 for these two riders at 6 laps to go. And the gap hardly changing with the preem on that last lap. Michael Hernandez coming off a good run here for Best Buddies. Took a pair of 13ths at Tulsa Tough, followed by a 5th. Ended up 6th place overall in the Omnium. Then went down to Florida. He did race in Knoxville, but came up with 2 DNFs there. Took a bronze medal in the Amateur Road Championships. This has certainly been a difficult few months for Michael Hernandez, losing his mother back in June of this year, just about a month ago. So I'm sure he's been riding with her memory over the last few weeks, and this, I think, would be a nice tribute to Mike's mom. Oh man, these guys, we're gonna have to go pick up the towels that they're throwing in on the course here. Gap up to 27, they're saying this time through. And these guys didn't get the memo. They're still going full gas. They have no idea that this field is starting to let up behind them.
And Project Echelon is definitely going to continue to ride this race and at the front and represent and proudly be at the front.
Yeah.
So they're not going to give up.
Tanner Ward also racing Tulsa into Knoxville. That was his lead up to this one. Ended up 26th, first day at Tulsa, 11th, day 2. And doesn't look like he raced on the third day. He ended up 23rd in the Omnium. And then picked up a top 20 in the crit in Knoxville and ended up 32nd in the road race down there. That was a tough one just to hang in. So he's had some good training in his legs, but this will be the first time that he's raced since June 20th in Knoxville.
28 years old out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And then here's our field right now. 22 seconds.
31 the new gap.
It's like we got a last-ditch effort to try and bring
remember,
it back.
There's still one podium spot available.
Exactly.
That looks like Marcotte getting up there into the mix.
Best Buddy's just going to cover and kill and deter.
But Martinez up there as well. Todd Magner in the mix. But the story tonight, all about Ward and Hernandez.
Every year. Interesting.
These guys can afford to start playing games at like 2 to go. I mean, they got a gap big enough. But I gotta think they'll just sprint it out of that last corner. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, they should roll it all the way to 1 to go. And
yeah. You got a green jersey and a white black jersey. Who thinks the right in the green jersey is going to win tonight?
All right, Frankie Andreou's doing the crowd poll here.
Black jersey's going to win tonight.
And I think Hernandez got a little more pull. Uh-oh, here we go. Ward trying to get rid of Hernandez early and putting Hernandez in a little trouble. Hernandez had to get out of the saddle to cover this one. He is not comfortable right now, that's for sure. Look at Ward all over the road, going right to left, back to the right side of the road now. This guy's trying to shake Hernandez like a bad habit, and it's not working.
Again, Hernandez has so much fight. It's going to be hard to shake him.
Man, I love that move from Tanner Ward. It's like, you know what, Michael? Bring it on. Let's go. And that could have very well worked. For all Tanner Ward knows, Michael Hernandez is holding on to his last thread of energy in this breakaway. And so he's just testing him. Just a little poke, little body blow, little jab.
That's a heck of a test.
So watch this. He does it right out of the corner. And Hernandez responded immediately. You talk about heads-up riding. But, man, he had to put in an effort to get there. And they're back together now as we bring them through the line.
The quickest way to get me to stop working with you, attack me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say this friendship is over at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. But they still have to roll it out. They still have 2 laps to go.
I don't want to sprint against Mike Hernandez. I'm certainly not going to take him to the line. And I think that might be what Tanner Ward is thinking right now. The problem is he showed his cards now, right?
Exactly. You still got Hernandez on the tops, not even in the drops yet.
Hernandez got to be feeling good. He's like, oh, you're in trouble, huh? You don't want to sprint against me?
Yeah, and the reason I talk about that so much is you have so much more power and control down in the drops than you do on the tops.
Yep.
You should never see a true sprinter sprinting on the tops. It's always in the drops. Unless it's a climb.
Unless it's a climb.
But not tonight.
Marcotte still up on the front. These guys are out of sight on the backside of the course. They go into turn 4. Well, that's going to be turn 3 into turn 4. And Field still not even around turn 2 behind him. So out of sight, out of mind in crit racing. Aside from the time checks that field is getting on the line, they have no idea what these two are doing up the road. And it doesn't matter because the gap is now insurmountable. This will be 1 and 2 tonight. The question is, what order do they stand on the podium? Ward in the white, Hernandez in the green. And this is going to take us down to 1 lap to go as they'll get the bell for the final lap of racing here.
Hernandez just got serious. He's down in the drops.
All right, go time. And look at Hernandez. This is like a match sprint on the track.
Yeah.
Please tell me you did not just flick himself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like, yeah, you got to try.
There goes Tanner Ward again. Oh, man, beautifully covered by Hernandez.
Now,
Well, now they let up.
Hernandez just needs to sit and play the game.
Yep.
He's now got Tanner in front of him, probably where he wants him.
He's got him flustered. He already showed his cards. Ward knows he's in position number 2 right now.
Kind of doing a look real quick back to see what the break is to know how much games they can play.
I mean, I guess Ward's only hope is maybe he can let up enough here that the field comes and gets him. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter either way. You might as well just focus on Michael Hernandez right now.
Here comes turn 3 right there.
Yep. That was where Summerhill took it to the curb last year. He's going to tighten up the shoes. Here we go. Go time, baby. Into turn 4. Ward gonna lead it out. Hernandez right on the wheel, waiting, looking right, looking left. Hernandez looks like a track sprinter stalking Tanner Ward right now. And here he goes, right at the bottom of the hill, right where it kicks up. Hernandez gonna try and go around Ward. They were gonna stay wheel to wheel for at least 50 meters to the line. And Ward got him. Wow. Tanner Ward outpowers Michael Hernandez on the line. Your winner in Anniston. What a ride for Tanner Ward.
Wow, I did not see that.
Man.
And I've been teasing Gibbons how he's not a field sprinter.
He waited and had Hernandez behind him, toying with him. And Ward pulls it off on the climb, holds him off.
Wow.
That is the kind of sprint that dreams are made of.
What an incredible ride.
It seems like Thomas Gibbons got that 3rd spot.
Holy moly. I would have bet good money on Michael Hernandez in that situation.
No doubt.
And that's not because Tanner Ward is a bad bike rider. It's just the way that breakaway played out.
Yep.
I mean, Ward launched his attack. He gave it a go. He had the number 1 position out of the last turn. That is textbook perfect setup for Michael Hernandez, but Ward held him off. Awesome.
The bell has struck. The race has finished. It has been crowned.
It must have been all those efforts. I mean, how many breaks was Hernandez in tonight? And how many laps was he out there solo tonight?
Well, I'll bet he's wishing he could get a couple of those breaks back tonight because he could have used those watts on this final run up to the line. Absolutely incredible.
What a great race by Tanner. It's good to see everybody all smiles.
Congratulations all around for the guys. Well, the sun was up and shining when we started about a little over an hour ago as Todd Magner let him out off the line, but as things started to set, we saw Artem Schmidt take the real first big pull of the night. This was the guy that got the party started for the Hot Tubes team.
17 years old, out there multiple times tonight. Great to see him representing Hot Tubes and putting it to these guys.
Eventually, he had some riders join him up into the breakaway. That became 4, then 5, then 7, then 9, then 12, then 32, then 60, then well, pretty much the whole field eventually got up there as these guys were slowly but surely reeled back in despite the best efforts of some of them. Then this new break of 4 went away. You see Clever Martinez leading the way here with Frank Travieso on his wheel. And then this, the eventual winning move of the night, started by Michael Hernandez. Tanner Ward joining on. They both were doing work for a majority of their time away. And then the test attack from Ward at 4 laps to go.
And that was like a telltale sign to me that, okay, Hernandez definitely has this in the bag, but I was wrong.
Hernandez covered those moves so well. And it wasn't just one. Ward threw like 3 or 4 of them at him. And then Hernandez in second position coming out of the turn. Just can't come over the top of Tanner Ward. And First Internet Bank gets the win here in Anniston. The Sunny King Criterium. What a ride for Tanner Ward. Well, there you go. Thomas Gibbons got up there just 5 seconds back. Remember, that was a 32-second gap at one point that Gibbons got down to 5. He'll take third. Ty Magner was up there in 4th for the Legion of Los Angeles team. Clever Martinez gets up into 5th place tonight for the Rockland Cycling Velo Squad with Johnny Purvis in 6th place, followed by Frank Travieso in 7th. Another guy who spent a lot of time up there. He was in the breakaway with Hugo Scala in 8th. Hayden Strong from Project Echelon in 9th. And then Jeremiah Stoller from the Nashville local cycling team taking 10th place on the day. What a ride for those two. Ward and Hernandez, a great show off the front. We're getting ready to put those guys up on the podium as we get ready for our pro women's and pro men's podium presentation coming up after this at the Sunny King Criterium in downtown Anniston.
While you may not be a pediatric surgeon volunteering your topiary talents at a children's hospital, your life is just as unique. Your Raymond James financial advisor gets to know you, your passions, and the way you give back, so you can live your life. That's life well planned.
From sunup to sundown, Sparklight provides you with gig speeds over our fast and reliable fiber-rich network, powering all your family's devices throughout the day. And with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi coverage guaranteed, even from home, you can live life at gig speed.
Sunny King Automotive Group is celebrating 100 years in Anniston. Please join us in marking our centennial anniversary in our hometown. From all of us at Sunny King Ford, Sunny King Honda, and Sunny King Toyota, we thank you for 100 years, and we look forward to many, many more. Sunny King Automotive Group, serving Greater Calhoun County since 1922.
Welcome back, getting ready for our pro women's and pro men's podiums here at the Sunny King Criterium as we just wrapped up our final race of the evening. An exciting 2-up sprint to the line between Tanner Ward and Michael Hernandez. We could replay that one 99 times, and I think I would get it wrong every time. I mean, just shocked by Tanner Ward's performance tonight.
I mean, just bring out the boxing gloves already. I mean, because that's just what that was. It was just so many attacks over and over, best buddies, Project Echelon. It was just, what a race.
And how about Harriet Owen earlier tonight? The InstaFun squad put on a show for the pro women's field. They go 1 in 3 with Owen and Rachel Langdon in 3rd place on the night. Played it perfectly. I mean, you like textbook teamwork from Rachel Langdon to get Harriet Owen where she needed to be.
Yeah, that's what Rachel was saying, is they basically used Toad to perfect their lead out. And it took them all that time to figure out that they have to come over the top at the very last minute. And that's exactly what Rachel did. What a heck of a lead out. And then to still get 3rd place, unbelievable.
I'd say it worked out pretty well for the InstaFun La Prima team. And then, of course, we got to give a shout-out to Olivia Ray. Preem hunting all night, walked away with what I think was $1,300. Was that the total we ended up with? She was still counting the money when she left the booth with us. But She was getting close. She had passed $1,000.
I don't think she could get it all in the skin suit, but it was impressive. We're probably not going to see her the rest of the night. She's gone. She's having a good time.
Yeah, you have a campaign like that over a few weekends, you start to get into territory where you have to declare the money going back home. You start worrying about maybe wiring some money home or getting someone to carry it for you.
But what a comeback after her break, just a couple of months ago. Like that just tells you a lot about these athletes and what they want to do.
I was amazed how quickly she came back. I mean, it seemed like sort of against the doctor's orders. I know the doctors always give you more time than I think you actually need to get back on the bike.
But what's the best way to get back over an injury than to cycle is what they always say.
Well, there is Rachel Langdon up on the blocks in third. With a congratulations from Emily Ehrlich in second for the CWA Racing presented by Trek Team. And then the champ from Instafun La Prima, Harriet Owen, getting her very own big check and crown tonight.
Again, what a sprint from Harriet. I mean, she had bike links to second place, and it's just a heck of a sprint by her after doing all the work all night to cover brakes and to be in the brakes. Just got her handful.
There you go.
And look, the big check is not light.
No.
Let me tell you.
Here's 1, 2, and 3. Our top riders in our pro women's event. Owen, Erlen, and Langdon, congratulations.
I don't even know if you can check this thing.
It would be a lot of fun. It wouldn't go in the overhead for sure. That's why Dad had to drive it home.
Yeah.
Hey, but they brought the van, remember? And they're driving to Boise, so
That's right.
they can just take it with them. Be good for the screen for
it's going to take up a little bit of space in the van for the rest of the tour. They're going to take it to Boise. They're going to take it to Salt Lake. That check's going to get a tour, and she's got the crown on as well. They call it the king of all crits, but I think we should change it to the queen of all crits here.
We can have both.
At least for Harriet.
Yeah.
Nice flower bouquets, too. Get Rachel Langdon. She's going to need to check that one, too.
Yep. I know Instafun's definitely, hopefully watching the race and very proud of Harriet and Rachel tonight.
Well, they deserve a lot of credit. I mean, for only having 2 riders going up against teams like CWA Racing with 6 in the race tonight, this goes to show you if you can get it right and you can work together, you don't need big numbers all the time.
And thanks to Tish Kelly and CWA for all their sponsors and Preems. I know Olivia is very, very grateful.
Like to be able to call up. In third place, winning the field sprint, coming out of Athens, Georgia, the 32-year-old. This is Thomas Gibbons.
All right, pro men's podium up next with Thomas Gibbons. Reminding Frankie that he's only 31 as he came up to the podium. As a 32-year-old myself, I would love to get that year back. So I'm not giving any years away. It is confusing on the start list because a lot of these riders are listed with their racing age. Sometimes if you're going to turn a certain age during the racing season, you race with the older age. So on all the start lists, he is listed as 32. Michael Hernandez in second. And then the man of the hour in downtown Anniston tonight. For the First Internet Bank cycling team, Tanner Ward.
Wow, look at his crown. That's great.
I think he was a little bit hesitant to put the crown on, but you win in Anniston, that's part of the territory.
He looks resplendent.
It's like the tattoo for Single Speed Worlds or having to accept the pig at Trobro or whatever European race, they give those away.
Well, didn't you come home with a wheel of cheese?
I did. We gave away like 20-pound wheels of cheese up in Wisconsin at the Tour of America's Dairyland. I was lucky enough to snag one of those unclaimed on the podium. I think Michael Ward is showing Tanner Ward how to open champagne. Hernandez is like, you got to twist.
That's what friends are for, and don't point it at me.
And Gibbons is like, I've seen this before.
Yes. Hands up, ready. Bless it.
This is awesome.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh!
Thomas Gibbons like, here, man, you should have these flowers. You won the race.
Tanner Ward on the top step of the podium, followed by Michael Hernandez and Thomas Gibbons.
Oh, what a ride for those guys out of the breakaway tonight.
50 riders, nowhere to sit in, everybody attacking the
And this is going to be really interesting heading into Salt Lake and Boise next couple weeks of racing. I think probably all three of these guys will be there. I know Gibbons will be there. Hernandez, Best Buddies team, does that USA Crit Series as well. I'm sure Tanner Ward is, if he wasn't already planning on it, you start thinking, maybe I keep this going.
Exactly.
So as we end the night for the Noble Street Festival, for Sunny King, for all of our sponsors, all of the riders that came out, we say thank you. My name's Frankie Drew. Hope everybody had a
Well, it doesn't get much better than what we saw tonight in our pro women's and pro men's races between Harriet Owen and Rachel Langdon, putting on an absolute clinic in teamwork out there tonight, and then the two-up battle out of the breakaway for the pro men. Two awesome races to end the day here at the Alabama Cycling Classic.
And lots of smiles on the podium. You know, I mean, you could look at Michael Hernandez and say he's probably pretty disappointed, or Thomas Gibbons getting third, but you know what? They're all smiles on the podium, helping each other out with champagne. That's good sportsmanship.
And dare I say they even had a good time racing their bikes tonight in Anniston. Well, they are starting to pour beer here on Noble Street. The party continues throughout the night here as they'll be celebrating the winners. But, man, what a day of racing it was between our pro women getting after it early on, going after the preems. Big thanks to the crowd, raising a ton of money for them. And then the pro men putting on a show off the front. Doesn't get much better than good old-fashioned American bike racing here in downtown Anniston. So on behalf of everyone here at the Alabama Cycling Classic, the Sunny King Criterium, Lauren Hall with me in the booth. My name is Brad Soner, saying thanks for watching. Happy 4th to everyone. Hope you celebrate safely tomorrow, and we'll see you back here next year at the Sunny King Crit.